Hello, and welcome back to Zenin Fanfics. Today we're starting an exciting new series. What if Deku had adapting Fox Quirk? If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe for more content. The story we're featuring is written by the Crimson Yinglet on fanfiction.net. You can find all the relevant links in the description, so be sure to check out the author's profile and say hello. Now let's dive into the story. The practical portion of the U.A. entrance exam has just ended, and everyone was looking at the area where a young boy had just destroyed a giant robot. However, they were not looking because of what he did. They were looking because of how he looked. Look at him. What kind of quirk makes you look like that? One of the examinees asked. I don't know. What are those things attached to him? Are those ribbons? No way, man. They have to be some sort of tentacles. But what kind of tentacles look like that? They're pink and look kind of pretty. What a freak. There's no way they'll let him into UA. I don't know about that. Did you see him in action? There's no way they won't let him into UA. While the examinees were talking amongst themselves about what they were looking at, a young brunette girl with pink cheeks was looking down at the boy they were talking about. Are you okay? She asked. That is when the boy got up and we get a good look at him. He had a strange fox or canine-like appearance, with pale cream-like fur and pink fur at the top of his head and long ears. He also had two bows, one on his neck and one on his left ear, each with two ribbons common from them. The boy's large light blue eyes blinked in surprise as he looked at the ribbons his new form produced. Hello there. My name is Midoriya, and that's me. The strange pink creature with the ribbons coming from him. But don't worry. Despite my appearance, I am human. I know I look strange, but well, how to explain this? Let's start at the beginning. The scene then zooms out, and we're shown a view of Earth from space. Welcome to my world. It is a world of superpowers where 80% of the population is born with some kind of special ability, or quirk, as we call them. The scene then zooms in on a small boy with green hair and a shocked expression on his face. And that's me when I was 4 years old, back when I still looked human and was given the most devastating news of my life. Sorry, kid, it's not going to happen. A bald man with goggles and a bushy mustache said. This was Dr. Tsubasa, the quirk expert Zeku was seeing. Are you sure, doctor? A woman with long green hair asked. Mom, doing her best to support me, even after this heartbreaking development. Positive, Miss Midoriya. Look here. Tsubasa then showed an x-ray of Izuku's left foot on a light board. See this? He asked as he pointed to the pinky toe. Research has determined that there is a link between quirks and the bones in a person's foot. People who have quirks have only one joint in their pinky toe. Their body has evolved to become more streamlined. Based on this x-ray, your son has two joints in his pinky toe, and based on the research, it's safe to say that he is part of the 20% of population who don't develop quirks. Izuku and his mother went home after that. He didn't talk, still having that shocked look on his face. Inko, Izuku's mother, kept on asking if there was a chance he could be wrong, but the doctor said that this method was 100% accurate. Izuku just sat in his room watching videos of All Might, the #1 hero, late into the night, while Inko just watched her son in silence. See, Mom, Izuku said while pointing at the screen. No matter what, he never stops smiling. Even when things are at their worst and it looks impossible, he saves the day. Do you think I can be a hero like him? Inko then hugged her son as she began to cry with him. I'm sorry, Izuku. I wish things were different. No, Mom. That isn't what I needed you to say. Couldn't you see? My world was crumbling. There was only one thing I wanted to hear. Unfortunately, things only got worse from that point on. Because I was quirkless, I was bullied by all the other kids who had quirks. Even by my best friend, Katsuki Bakugo, or as I call him, Kaken. He was born with an amazing quirk. He could make explosions in the palms of his hands. Because of this, he was strong, and I looked up to him because of this. But he didn't return the favor. In fact, he began to call me Deku. Another way to say good for nothing or useless. Soon, all my former friends began to pick on me because I was quirkless. It had been a month since I was told I wouldn't receive a quirk, and this day, Kaken had been especially cruel. I looked up to the stars and wished that I would get a quirk. I knew that quirks don't come from wishes, but I was desperate, and as luck would have it, someone was listening. We then cut to large observatory deep in space where a tall blonde woman with pale white skin and a blue dress, was sitting in her chair watching the stars. This was Rosalina, star goddess of the cosmos and friend to Mario, Luigi, and Peach. She was watching the stars when she suddenly heard a child's voice. "I wish I had a quirk," the voice said. Rosalina got up, shocked at the desperation and sadness in the voice. She turned towards the direction and, with the help of her Loomis, gazed onto the planet the voice came from. She saw a small boy with green hair and cuts and bruises, as though he was in a fight. She then gazed into the boy's past and the past of the planet. A planet where 80% of its people were born with a special ability or quirk, but he was not. How tragic. But what was even more tragic was how the boy was treated because of his lack of a quirk. Still, even with his harsh treatment, the boy possessed a pure and gentle soul as well as a noble heart. Rosalina could not let the boy's wish go unanswered, but there was a problem. Despite being a goddess who has witnessed the ends and beginnings of many universes, she was not the only one. There were many other gods and goddesses out there like her friend Palutena, the goddess of light. And all gods and goddesses followed a simple rule: do not encroach upon another god's domain. This boy's planet lay outside of Rosalina's domain, but she could not let such a pure wish from a noble soul go unanswered. She would need help. Rosalina activated her observatory, and it took off to another section of the universe. It came to a stop above a planet filled with creatures that possessed many different abilities. This was the world of Pokemon. She then raised her wand, and a bright light began to shine above her. Soon another bright light shone nearby, and a large, equine-looking Pokemon with gray skin and a large gold ring around its midsection appeared. This was Arceus, the creator god of the Pokemon world. "Hello, Rosalina. It is good to see you again," Arceus said through telepathy. "Hello, Arceus. It is good to see you too. Why have you come to speak with me? Is another one of my children invited to the Smash Brothers tournament?" "Perhaps me," Arceus said, receiving a small chuckle from Rosalina. "No, Arceus, you know I don't make those decisions. It is made by a being higher than us." Of course. But why did you come to speak with me then?" "Because of this." Rosalina then raised her wand and activated a telepathic link with Arceus to show her what she saw. Arceus then closed its eyes in thought before answering Rosalina. "I see. Though I do sympathize with the boy, his world lies outside both our domains. We cannot help him without risking a multiversal war. But his wish reached me. I cannot let it go unanswered." Agreed. There were exceptions to the rule, such as when a god lets the wishes of their domain go unanswered or unattended. If a planet is neglected, then it is considered abandoned and free for any other god who is interested to take it. And while a single wish from a small boy going unanswered doesn't mean the planet is neglected, since it was strong enough to reach Rosalina, she could answer it instead. With that, Rosalina and Arceus discussed what to do and decided on a plan. Arceus then drew up some essence from his world, and Rosalina then forged it into a small spark. Rosalina gave the spark to one of her Loomis that shot off in max speed to Izuku's planet. With its extreme speed, the Luma reached the planet within minutes and found Izuku's apartment. It snuck in and found Izuku's room, where it found Izuku, who had cried himself to sleep. It then let the spark it was holding float into Izuku, and he began to glow and change. With its job done, the Luma quickly left and flew back to Rosalina. The morning came, and Inko was making breakfast. She was thinking of a way to cheer her son up. Since he found out he was quirkless, he has been coming home with bruises and cuts every day. She suspected bullying, but every time she asked, Izuku would just say that he was playing hero with his friends. She set the plates on the table and turned to her son's room. "Izuku, breakfast is ready," she called out. She waited for her son, but he didn't come out or answer back. "Izuku," she said with concern. When he didn't answer, she went to check on him. To say she was shocked at what she saw would be an understatement. Instead of her little boy standing in front of the mirror, it was a small fox with green fur. Izuku," she stammered out. "Mom," the fox answered. "Look, I got my quirk." Her shock then turned to happiness as she embraced her son. "Oh, my baby Izuku, I'm so happy for you." Back at the hospital, Dr. Tsubasa had received a call from the front saying that an Inko Midoriya had an emergency and her son needed to be seen right away. He hated this, parents, or rather anybody finding some reason to distract him from his research so they could give themselves or their loved ones hope that they could still get a quirk. But facts are facts. You do not get a quirk because of hope. No matter, a quick reaffirmation that the boy was quirkless and a reprimand for wasting his time, and he would get back to work. Or at least that's what he thought would happen. Imagine his surprise when the quirkless boy from before was now a walking, talking green fox grinning ear to ear at him. "Well, doctor," Inko Midoriya asked, also sporting a similar grin. "I think we need to change the accuracy of the test to 99% accurate." But that's impossible," Tsubasa said in his defense and a try and save face. "The test has never failed before. Anyone who's had a second joint in their pinky toe has been quirkless. Until now," Inko said. Midoriya then held out his new foot paws. "Would you like to check again?" he said while wiggling his 3 toes. It felt weird having only 3 toes, but he got used to it rather quickly. "No need, kid. 1, you don't have a human's foot anymore. And 2, I still have your old x-rays if I need them. Besides, the proof is standing right in front of me. Congratulations," Tsubasa said with a smile. Izuku and Inko started to cheer for joy when the doctor interrupted them. "Now then, if you don't mind, I would like some samples." Inko turned to him in surprise. "Samples? Yes, not too much. Just some BLD samples, hair, saliva, and a toenail clipping and fingernail." "But why?" "Because your son is a first. In all my years of quirk research, anyone who's had 2 joints in their pinky toe has been quirkless until now," Tsubasa said as he gestured towards Izuku. "Your son is the first to develop a quirk despite that, and I believe he is the first in a new evolution of quirks." "You think so?" "Yes, I do. But I don't know I'll do it," Izuku yelled, shocking his mother. "Izuku, I want to help Mom. It's what heroes do." Tsubasa smiled while Inko was still concerned about this. But she didn't want to unintentionally crush her son's dream, so she stayed silent while the doctor took his samples. Afterwards, Tsubasa bid Inko and Izuku a farewell while saying he would contact them if he found anything odd. He also asked to be contacted if any other changes happened with Midoriya. The next day at Izuku's preschool, Midoriya was sitting down surrounded by his classmates as they admired his new look. The pain of being picked on didn't go away, but it felt nice to be admired for once. "Hey, what are you all huddling around for?" a child who just entered the classroom asked. Izuku looked towards the door and recognized the boy. He was one of Katsuki's followers. Sure enough, Katsuki was there with another boy on standing to his other side. Izuku was going to stay silent when one of the other students spoke up. "It's Midoriya Bakugo." His quirk finally came. Izuku slowly looked up to face his former best friend. "Hey, KK Kaken. Look, I finally got my quirk." Katsuki silently walked up to Midoriya. Midoriya had hoped that now that he had a quirk, the bullying would stop and they could go back to being friends again. Unfortunately, that was not the case. "DMN Deku," Katsuki growled. "Huh, what's wrong, Kaken? You were lying to me this whole time, weren't you? Did you enjoy it?" "What? Did you enjoy laughing at me, Deku?" "No, I didn't stop lying. I'm going to make you pay, Deku." Katsuki then charged towards Izuku with hand raised, ready to attack with an explosion. Izuku froze for a moment, but then he felt a surge of energy from within him, and, acting on instinct, he rushed forward at blinding speeds. Bakugo struck with his explosion, but only hit air. He and his followers looked around to find Midoriya behind them. "What the? He's fast." "Deku," Bakugo growled out, even more angry than before. "Kaken, stop. How can I hide my quirk? Look at me. There's no way I can hide this. Stop being so stupid, Kaken." Midoriya yelled out. Everyone just stood in silence at what just happened. Nobody had insulted Bakugo before. "Kaken, I didn't mean you're dead, Deku." Bakugo rushed forward with more explosions, but Midoriya evaded them by calling upon that same energy from before. "DMN it, Deku. Stop running, you coward." "Kaken, stop." Midoriya was then forced into a corner while Bakugo was grinning sinisterly. "What are you going to do now, you useless Deku?" Kakin, stop. Leave me alone. What was that? I don't speak, loser. I said, leave me alone. Midoriya shouted at Bakugo, and he began to glow. Bakugo was shocked at this, and 4 star-shaped lights formed around Midoriya. They shot towards Bakugo, but he managed to dodge them. You missed me, Deku. Bakugo taunted, but the star-shaped projectiles changed their trajectory and struck Bakugo in the back. Bakugo then fell to the floor. He began to get up while glaring at Midoriya. Kakin, you're dead, Deku. No one beats me. No one. Bakugo yelled as he charged at Midoriya, but then they were interrupted by a yell. Katsuki. Bakugo stopped in place, and both boys turned to see Midoriya's mother and another woman with the same hair color and angry expression as Bakugo. This was Mitsuki Bakugo, Katsuki Bakugo's mother. What the hell do you think you're doing? You know you're not supposed to use your quirk to attack the other children. Mitsuki yelled as pinched Katsuki's ear. Ow! Let me go, you old hag. Katsuki yelled back. Oh, I know you didn't just call me old. Inko and Izuku just stared at the scene in front of them, confused on what's going on. Mitsuki then looked at them, and Inko and Izuku froze in place. I'm sorry about that, Mitsuki said in a much calmer tone. My little Katsuki can be a handful at times. Now then, why were you attacking this boy Katsuki? It's all that Deku's fault. He lied about being quirkless. Mitsuki then looked at Izuku quizzically. This is Deku. The boy you said was quirkless. He doesn't look quirkless to me. Let me explain, Inko said, getting Mitsuki's attention. My son is a late bloomer. He didn't get his quirk until yesterday. Oh, I see. And I guess my brat has been using that as an excuse to bully him. Izuku, is that true? Inko asked her son. Well, Izuku didn't want to rat out Katsuki, but he also didn't want to lie to his mother. Yes. Katsuki, Mitsuki yelled. You're going to make this right. I want you to apologize to this boy right now. Mitsuki then released Katsuki and waited for him to apologize to Izuku. Well, she said. No, Katsuki replied. What was that? I'm not apologizing because Deku lied about being quirkless. Mitsuki then smacked Katsuki on his head. You little punk. Weren't you listening? He's a late bloomer. He didn't have a quirk until yesterday. She then turned to Inko. Let's make this right between our boys. Why don't you come by home tomorrow night for dinner? We could get everything sorted out there. Okay then. We'll see you then. Inko replied. All right, see you tomorrow night, Mitsuki said while dragging out Katsuki. Inko and Izuku were sitting at the dinner table along with Mitsuki, Katsuki, and Mitsuki's husband, Masaru Bakugo, eating the meal he made. So how is it? Mitsuki asked Inko. It's really good. It must have taken a long time to make it. Not sure myself. You would have to ask my husband. Mitsuki then gestured to her husband, who was rubbing the back of his head. It's nothing much, just to burn some spices and heat. Oh my, you must be quite the chef. Right, Izuku? Inko asked her son. Izuku nodded happily in agreement. That's when Mitsuki looked toward her son. Don't you have anything to say, Katsuki? Katsuki Bakugo just sat there in silence while glaring at Izuku. Mitsuki began to glare back at him for his attitude towards the little fox boy. That is when he spoke up. So how'd you do it? Katsuki asked Izuku. Do what, Kakin? How did you move so fast? I don't know. When you attacked me, I felt this energy from inside me, and my body moved on its own. And the star-shaped lights you shot at me. I don't know about that either. I was upset and scared, and can't you see you're making him upset, Katsuki? The boy just got his quirk yesterday. He's not going to know how he does most of the stuff he does. Mitsuki said to her son. Yeah, since we're on the subject, I'm assuming he inherited your husband's quirk then. Mitsuki asked Inko. Actually, my husband's quirk is fire breath. I honestly have no idea how Izuku wound up turning into a fox. Well, that's strange. Normally, children inherit either one of their parents' quirk or a mixture of the two. Like Katsuki's, his explosion quirk is a mix of my glycerin quirk and his father's acidic sweat quirk. It is a bit strange. The doctor believes that Izuku may be the first in a new evolution of quirks. What? Really? Mitsuki and Katsuki asked in unison. Yes. According to him, Izuku should have been quirkless, but the fact that he isn't has the doctor believing that his quirk may be different. Maybe that's why he's a late bloomer. Mitsuki said, while Katsuki was just sitting in silence. Mitsuki noticed her son's behavior and turned to him. Katsuki, what's wrong? Katsuki then mumbled something that no one heard. What was that? Come on, spit it out already. I'm sorry to dash, I mean Izuku. Katsuki said, louder this time, so everyone could hear. See, now is that so hard? Mitsuki said while she patted her son's back. Izuku, do you want to say anything? Inko asked her son. It's okay, Kakin, I forgive you. Good. Now why don't you two finish up your dinner? Yeah, it's getting late. You two can make up more at school tomorrow. Mitsuki said. After that, Kakin's and my friendship started to get better. We went back to being the friends we used to be, and he even helped me in learning about my quirk. But 5 years later, something happened with my quirk that neither me or my mother would have expected. Midoriya, apartment Inko, was making dinner when the door to the apartment opened. Hi, Mom. Izuku greeted his mother as he entered his home. Hi, sweetie. Did you have a good day at school? Yeah, the school is planning a field trip to the new exhibit for All Might. That's great. Do you need me to sign anything for the trip? Yes, let me pull out the permission slip. Izuku then pulled out the permission slip and handed it to his mother. When their hands made contact, they both glowed purple for a few seconds. They were both startled by this, but nothing happened. Shrugging it off, Izuku went to his room to change out of his school uniform, while Inko continued making dinner. Who needs more salt? Inko then grabbed the salt shaker with her quirk. Oh, and some pepper. Inko looked towards the salt shaker to grab it, and saw the pepper shaker also floating towards her. What the? Mom? Inko turned towards her son and was shocked at his new appearance. No longer was he a green fox. Now he had lilac fur, purple eyes, and larger ears. There was also a red jewel in the middle of his forehead and had a forked tail now. Izuku, Inko said in exasperated shock. Mom, I don't know what happened, but look. Izuku then revealed that he was moving the pepper shaker. Is that my quirk? Inko asked. The next day, Inko took Izuku to see Dr. Tsubasa about this development. When Tsubasa saw Izuku, he couldn't stop grinning. How fascinating. And you said this happened after you made physical contact with your mother. Yes, Izuku replied. Amazing. And can I see this new form? Izuku then transformed into his new form. And can I see your new powers? Izuku's began to glow, and he lifted a small jar on the counter. Amazing. Doctor, Inko said, getting his attention. We were hoping you can explain to us what is happening with my son. Right. Well, first we need to collect more samples, but first. Tsubasa then pulled out a machine. If you would miss Inko. Inko then put on a wrist wrap that was attached to the machine. Now if you can use your quirk. Inko then used her quirk, and the machine made some recordings. Good. Now you young Izuku. Izuku then put on the wrist strap and moved the same jar with his new psychic powers. After the machine finished the recordings, Tsubasa took off the wrist strap and examined the results of the test. Tsubasa couldn't stop himself from grinning at the results. Doctor, Inko said, getting his attention. Oh yes, sorry about that. But these results are truly astounding. So, I'll still need samples, but let me show you what this machine recorded. Tsubasa then turned the monitor around. Okay, this chart is Inko's. Tsubasa pointed to a chart showing a line going up. And this is Izuku's. Tsubasa then pushed a button and revealed another chart next to Inko's for comparison. Inko and Izuku were shocked at the fact that Izuku's chart showed much higher numbers than his mother's. I don't understand. Izuku said. Well, let me explain. Your mother's chart is the normal numbers for someone with a psychic quirk. Your numbers, Izuku, are much higher. In fact, I've never seen numbers so high. You may have the strongest psychic quirk in history. Izuku then began to smile, and Inko was hugging her son. However, Tsubasa said, getting Inko's and Izuku's attention. Therein lies the problem. The psychic powers are so strong that your body shouldn't be able to handle it. You should be suffering some serious side effects. Migraines, body deformation, some brain tumors, etc., but you're not. Your body has adapted to the immense power of your quirk. This could be a massive breakthrough in the research of quirks. How, Doctor? Inko asked. Let me ask, have you heard of the quirk singularity doomsday theory? No. Have you, Izuku? Izuku shook his head before turning to Dr. Tsubasa. Well, the theory states that quirks would keep evolving with each new generation, growing stronger and stronger, until they eventually become too strong for the human body to control. By all intents and purposes, Izuku's quirk should be too strong for his body, but the body is adapting to it. You could become the key to preventing more cases like Toya. Who's Toya? Izuku asked. That is when Tsubasa's face turned serious and solemn. Do you know of the Sakoto blaze? Yeah, they said that the flames were so hot that it took hours to calm down, even with pro heroes and the fire department helping. Izuku answered. Good. Now tell me, do you two know the hero Endeavor? Of course. He's the #2 hero, second only to All Might. Izuku eagerly answered. Correct. And do you know how long do his fights last? Not long at all. In fact, he holds the record for fastest fight ended, even surpassing All Might's record. Correct. And that's because he has to. If Endeavor uses his quirk for extended periods of time, he risks overheating and damaging himself. This problem was even worse with his son, Toya Todoroki. Tsubasa then opened up a folder and pulled out 2 photos. This is young Toya when he first discovered his quirk. Tsubasa then held up a photo showing a young boy with red hair. And this is young Toya 1 year later. Tsubasa then showed a photo of the same boy, but with white streaks in his hair and numerous burns on his body. Young Toya's body could not handle the power of his quirk. He was blessed with even more firepower than Endeavor. Well, blessed, maybe the wrong word for it. It would be more appropriate to say cursed. Inko and Izuku stood in silence at this as Tsubasa continued with his story. I saw Toya a number of times due to the numerous times he damaged himself with his quirk. I was asked every time if there was anything that could be done about it. I told them the same thing every time, that he has to stop. You mean, yes, young Izuku? I told him to give up on his dream. Some of us aren't meant to be heroes because of the body we were born with. In fact, there are many who are born with quirks that bring more harm than good. That was young Toya's fate, but that didn't stop him. No doubt he thought if he trained hard enough, he could control his quirk and the damage it did to his body. The Sakoto Peaks was a popular training ground for him, and, well, you know the rest. But you, young Izuku, you could be the key to solving this issue. Why him? Inko asked with concern. Why can't the other quirk experts do anything? Because most of them dismiss the quirk singularity theory. They call it nonsense. But if they took it more seriously, perhaps young Toya would be alive today. Tsubasa yelled as he slammed his fist onto the desk in anger. Izuku and Inko were both shocked at his sudden outburst. Sorry, it angers me when my fellow experts dismiss the theory when the proof is staring at them in the face. They say that it's unsubstantiated, that it's only a small percentage of people who have uncontrollable quirks. But wasn't it the like with quirks as well? In the beginning, only a small percentage of people possessed quirks. Now, 80% of the population have quirks. Izuku and Inko looked and nodded to each other in understanding before turning back to Tsubasa. But still, why Izuku? Inko asked. It's because of his adaptable body. He could prevent the quirk singularity theory from happening. But it's okay, Mom. I want to help others, and if I can do so like this, then I will. Izuku said. But it's okay, Miss Inko. I'll only take some BLD samples and hair. The same as before. Tsubasa said to Inko. Okay then. After taking all the samples he needed to Izuku, and Inko left. Goodbye, Izuku. We will be expecting great things from you. Tsubasa said while Inko and Izuku left his office. He then went back to his work while grinning to himself. Oh yes, young Izuku. We will be expecting great things from you. The next day at Izuku's middle school, Izuku was leaving the school when Katsuki caught up to him. Hey Zeku, where are you going? You left the class like but was on fire. Bakugo had begun to call Midoriya Zeku, a combination of Zenko, Good Fox, and Deku, as a fun nickname. Oh hey Kakin, I'm heading to the library downtown. Huh, why? I'm going to look up on the history of foxes and kitsunes. Why? Did something happen with your quirk? Yeah, this. Izuku then turned into his new form. What the? When did this happen? 2 days ago. When I touched my mother's hand, I transformed and gained psychic powers like hers. Izuku then lifted his book bag with his mind. Is that why you were at the doctor's yesterday? Yeah, he said that my new power was so strong that it should be killing me, but my body is adapting to it. Ow! I never heard of a fox that can do that. Me neither. That's why I'm heading down to the local library. Want to come with? Sure. I got nothing better to do, and I'm curious on what's going on with your quirk. Izuku and Katsuki went to the local library and began to pick out all the books about foxes, fox mythology, and any other books pertaining to foxes and any special abilities they may have had throughout history. Is that everything, Kakin? Izuku asked while carrying all the books they picked up. Yeah. Now let's get to reading these already. Katsuki answered. As they were walking to the tables, Izuku bumped into a bookshelf, causing an old book at the top to fall onto his head. You should be careful, you nerd. Katsuki teased as he helped Izuku up. Yeah, I should. Huh, what book is this? Izuku opened it and skimmed through a few pages when his eyes lit up. Kakin, this book, it is all the answers we need. Katsuki was confused and about to ask when. Shoo, the librarian hushed them up. She then looked at the pile of books on the ground and at the boys. We'll pick them up, Izuku replied. After he and Katsuki put the books away, they went to a table to read the book Izuku found. When they did, some of the other people there looked towards Midoriya and scowled. Who let the mud in? One of them said. Midoriya heard them and tried to ignore it, but Bakugo noticed this and turned towards the perpetrator. Hey, you got something against heteromorph-type quirks. He yelled at the person. The librarian came back and shushed him. Bakugo scoffed and turned back to Midoriya. Okay, Zeku, what do you mean this book has the answers? Look, Midoriya then pointed to a picture in the book. It was hand-drawn, but it resembled Izuku's current form, albeit with brown fur instead of green. Yes, so, lots of foxes look alike. Well, look at this. Izuku then flipped the page, and what Katsuki saw left him speechless. The picture resembled a four-legged fox that was an exact duplicate of Izuku's new form. The lilac fur, the red jewel, even the forked tail. Espion, Izuku said. It also states that the Espion species also had psychic powers. Satisfied with their find, Izuku and Katsuki went to the front desk to ask about the book. But the librarian was confused about the book and said that she never saw it before. What do you mean you've never seen this book? Katsuki yelled. I mean what I said, you rude brat. And keep your voice down. The librarian retorted. I've never seen that book before. Maybe you missed it, Izuku suggested. The librarian then glared at Izuku. I doubt a flea bag. I take great pride in keeping my library in order. There's no book in here that I do not keep track of. Except for this one. Katsuki quipped, getting a glare from the librarian. Anyways, I've never seen that book before, and it doesn't have any kind of labeling of this library. It must have been left behind by someone else. If it'll make you leave faster, you're free to take it if you like. Thank you, Izuku said. Just leave already. I don't want your kind here. Izuku was hurt by that comment when Katsuki spoke up. Hey, you know it's against the law to discriminate against heteromorph-type quirks, right? What's to stop us from reporting your actions? Go ahead, brat, the librarian said with a smirk. Katsuki was about to say something when Izuku spoke up. Let's just go, Kakin. We got what we needed. With that, they left. While Izuku was hurt by the librarian's actions, he cheered up knowing he got the information he needed. Stupid beach. You shouldn't take CRP from extras that still discriminate against heteromorph Zeku. It's all right, Kakin. Besides, I still got the book I needed, Izuku said with a smile. Bakugo, however, just stared at it in silence. Is something wrong, Kakin? Hey, Zeku. How'd you get your quirk again? Huh, I just woke up like this one day. But did you do anything else? Izuku pondered about this for a minute before answering. Well, I made a wish to the stars. But besides that, nothing else. And the doctor said you should have been quirkless, right? Why, yeah. Izuku was worried Katsuki would start bullying him again. Isn't it a bit too coincidental that your quirk starts to act weird, and we conveniently find a book with the exact information we need. One that not even the librarian knew about. Luckily, Katsuki was more concerned over the coincidence of the situation. He didn't seem to care that Izuku was quirkless, but he did bring up a good point. Both of them then had the feeling of being watched and began to look around, but found nothing. "Just watch your back, Zeku," Katsuki said before he and Izuku left. Up on a nearby rooftop, someone was watching them. Good they found the book. Now to return to Mama, the Luma said as it shot off into space. Midoriya, apartment Izuku, was in his room reading the book and learning about the abilities all these foxes possessed when his phone rang. "Hello. Hey, Zeku. Kakin. What's up? Just checking to see if that book had all the answers you were looking for." "Yes, it did. In fact, according to this book, my quirk should be capable of doing more transformations." "Well, that's good, by the way. Did you get your permission slip signed yet? The due date is tomorrow." "CRP. I forgot. You're hopeless, you nerd." "Right. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. See you tomorrow, Zeku." Katsuki then hung up, and Izuku went to get his mom to sign his permission slip. We cut to 5 years later, and Izuku and Katsuki are sitting in class waiting for it to end. The teacher then spoke up. "All right, class, let's begin the career aptitude test for your futures," the teacher said before grinning and throwing the papers in the air. "But I don't think we'll need them because it's obvious you all want to be heroes," the students shouted while demonstrating their various quirks. "Right, and I'm sure you all will make it into the various hero schools in Japan," the teacher said. "Yeah, and then become sidekicks or D-rank heroes if you're lucky," Katsuki Bakugo said, getting everyone's attention. "But not me. I'm aiming for the top. I'm getting into UA high." Everyone was silenced at Bakugo's declaration. UA. Doesn't that school have a test with a 0.2% pass rate?" one of the students asked. "Yeah, it does. And Bakugo is going to take it. That's right, you extras. And I'm going to pass with flying colors. I'm going to be the next #1 hero," Bakugo said with a confident grin. "I see. And what about you, Midoriya? Didn't you also apply for UA?" the teacher asked. Midoriya, however, was fully engrossed by whatever he was doing in his notebook. Midoriya. "Hey, Zeku, you nerd, the teacher's talking to you," Katsuki yelled while kicking Izuku's desk to get his attention. "Huh? What?" "The teacher asked you a question, Zeku." "Oh, yes, sir. I asked if you also applied for you." "Oh, yes, I did." "Whoa, Midoriya also applied," one of the students asked aloud. "Well, he's also strong. I've seen him and Bakugo spar." "I think we all have. If anyone can make it in, it would be those two." After class, Midoriya was walking down the halls when Bakugo walked up to him. "Hey, Zeku, what were you so focused on earlier?" "Oh, hey, Kakin. Just my hero costume." "You mean the one you?" "Hey, makes once we pass." "Yeah, as you know, we're giving a budget, and since I asked for fibers that can change with me, since my quirk gives me multiple forms, it already ate up a good chunk of my costume budget." "Really?" "Yeah. Turns are making shape-shifting fibers is really expensive. So now I'm redesigning my outfit to include what I absolutely need." "That's rough, but look at All Might. He's the strongest hero around, and he doesn't need any support gear." "You're right, Kakin. I'll just have to be like him and be the next #1 hero with little to no support gear." "You think you're going to be the next #1, Zeku?" "Yeah, unless you think you can beat me." "Is that a challenge, Zeku?" Midoriya and Bakugo stared at each other for a bit before a grin grew on both their faces. You better bring 100%, Zeku. I won't accept anything less." "You too, Kakin. Let's both give it our all." "Yeah. Anyways, I'm heading to the arcade. You want to join?" "Sure, I'll catch up. My package arrived, and I had to pick it up." "All right, Zeku, don't be late." Izuku went to the post office to pick up his package and was going through an underpass while going over the applications for his quirk thanks to his various sparring sessions with Bakugo. He was now able to continuous bursts of speed and was able to combine them with his star attack. The stars didn't do much damage, but they could be used in conjunction with his speed to set up opponent for a devasting blow. And his psychic form even had some new tricks. Izuku could lift objects between 300 and 400 pounds. He could also crush or pull those objects apart if he wanted to as long as he was focused. He also discovered that he could charge 4 spheres of destructive psychic energy that can be launched wherever Izuku wants. He also has a more technical attack he calls Future Sight, where whoever or whatever Izuku uses it on is attacked with a blast of psychic energy at a later time. The timing depends on when Izuku wants it to detonate and can be quite useful for a surprise attack. As Izuku was walking along, he felt a sudden chill down his spine. He quickly changed into his psychic form and jumped forward, avoiding an attack from a slime villain. "How the heck did you dodge that?" the villain asked. Thanks to years of sparring with Bakugo, Izuku's combat awareness was greatly increased. "Look, kid, it's best not to fight this. Just let me hide inside of you," the slime villain said while approaching Izuku. "It'll only be 30 seconds of pain, and then you'll feel nothing. I promise." "Wow, what a tempting offer," Izuku sarcastically said. But no. Izuku's eyes glowed as the slime villain was enveloped in a psychic field, and Izuku began to compress the villain. "What the hell? Let me go, you brat." The villain began to struggle, making it harder for Izuku to keep his grip on the villain. "I said let go." The villain then put all his strength into struggling out of Izuku's grasp. After a few moments, the villain was successful in breaking Izuku's psychic grip, and Izuku fell to his knees in pain. "Now I'll make sure this hurts as much as it can, you brat." The villain was getting closer when, "Have no fear, young man," someone with a large figure said at one end of the tunnel. "And do you know why? Because I am here," the figure said as it stepped forwards into view, revealing it that it was All Might, the #1 hero. "All Might!" the villain yelled in fear. All Might then pulled his fist back. Texas smash. All Might then punched with so much force that the wind pressure was blowing the villain apart. "Wind pressure," the villain said to himself as he was blown apart. Izuku stood in awe at this display. Not only was it powerful, but it was controlled. While the wind pressure blew the slime villain apart, Izuku was only hit with a mild breeze. The slime also blew around him, not on him. Such power and control. But what else could be expected from the #1 hero? Izuku blinked, and in that moment, All Might had gathered the scattered pieces of the villain into a bottle. The hero then turned to Izuku. "Hello, young man. Thanks for the assistance. This villain managed to escape me by crawling into the sewer system. A rookie mistake on my part, but you managed to hold him long enough for me to catch up. Good work," All Might said while giving a thumbs up. Izuku just stood there in awe. The #1 hero was standing right in front of him and complimenting his abilities. Izuku couldn't stop himself from going into fanboy mode. "Oh, it's FF fine, All Might. Why you arrived just in the nick of time, like always," Izuku stammered out. All Might was confused by the boy's behavior. "Why are you talking like that, young man? Were you hurt during your skirmish with the villain?" And no, it's just him such a big fan of your sanded such an honor to meet you win personal might, Izuku blurted out. Izuku stood there, embarrassed by what he had just done, but All Might just laughed. "It's okay, young man. Wouldn't be the first fan I met that was nervous to speak to me. But have no fear, I am very approachable." Izuku was relieved at All Might's reassurance. "Now I am curious about your quirk, young man. Do you mind telling me what it is?" "Oh, not All Might. It's called Evolving Fox. My quirk gives me a fox body with strange powers, and if I make physical contact with people with certain quirks, my quirk evolves and adapts to whatever new powers I obtained." "Amazing. Have you already evolved your quirk?" "Yes. This form I have right now, I got when I touched my mother's hand. She has a psychic-type quirk that allows her to pick up small objects with her mind." "Ah, that's quite the quirk you have there, young man." "Yes, but do you think I can become a hero? People give me weird looks because of how I look and my transformation." All Might held back a scowl as to not frighten the boy. Despite quirks being accepted worldwide, there was still a prejudice against heteromorphs. While not as big a problem in the city, due to the fact that the news and pro-heroes would be all over it in seconds, in the countryside, it was a different story. All Might hated this misplaced prejudice. Someone shouldn't be scorned because they were born different. "Tell me, young man, do you want to be a hero?" "Yes, sir." "Then that is all that matters. A quirk does not make someone hero or a villain. It is a person's actions that make them who they are. As long as you have the determination and longing to become a hero, you can become one. And I see great potential in you, young man." "Thank you, All Might." Izuku said with tears in his eyes. Good, now if you'll excuse me. I must deliver this villain to the police. Wait, All Might. Do you think you could sign this for me? Izuku held out his hero notebook. Haha, of course. All Might signed Izuku's notebook and handed it back to him. Now I must be off. Remember what I said, young man. It's not what you were born with, but what you do with it that matters. All Might jumped away after that while Izuku was awestruck. After landing on a nearby rooftop, steam began to rise from All Might, and he shrunk down into a skeletal form. He then began to cough violently. Minute. My time is growing shorter day after day. Soon I won't be able to be a hero anymore. I need to find a successor soon. The world needs a pillar of justice, a light to keep away the darkness and give the people hope. That young man seemed to have a noble heart, and his quirk combined with one for all would be extremely powerful. But I mustn't be hasty. I need to see Mirio first to see if he is worthy and willing to be my successor. All Might then reached for his pocket to check on the villain, but realized it was missing. What? How? All Might searched the pocket and found a hole that the bottle must have fallen through. Minute. I can't believe I made another mistake and let the villain get away again. This is not good. My limit has been reached, and, while small time, that villain's quirk makes him a tricky opponent to deal with. I hope that other heroes are able to stop him before he causes too much damage. Back on the ground, the bottle smashes into the ground and releases the slime villain. Free. Must be my lucky day, the villain said, but I need to find some place to hide soon. If only that brat hadn't fought back. The slime villain slithered down an alleyway to find a place to hide. Meanwhile, with Izuku. What? You were attacked by some slime villain. I heard about being unlucky, Zeku, but that's really going beyond. Bakugo said while he and Midoriya, in his green fox form, were walking down an alley. Yeah, but it wasn't all bad. I got to meet All Might, and he even signed my notebook. Izuku held out his notebook for Bakugo to see. A silver lining, huh? You should have seen All Might Kaken. He was amazing. He completely destroyed the villain with just the air pressure from his punch. What did you expect? He's All Might. He's the strongest hero in the world for now at least. Bakugo and Midoriya were walking down an alleyway when a shiver went up their spines. Instinctively, they jumped forwards and avoided a slime tentacle attacking them. What the hell is up with you kids? Are you born eyes in the backs of your heads? The slime villain said. It's you, Midoriya shouted as he transformed into his Espion form. This is the villain who attacked you. Talk about lame. Bakugo taunted. What was that, you brat? The slime villain then lunged at the boys. They jumped away, but they landed in the street, surrounded by civilians. What the hell? What's going on? The civilians were confused. Midoriya then turned to them and yelled, It's a villain attack. Run. Luckily, the civilians had the sense to run away from the villain attack. Since he was after Bakugo and Midoriya, they stayed behind to keep the villain distracted. Brats. Hold still. You're right. Like we would listen to some weak, but villain like you. Bakugo then launched himself at the sludge villain and released some explosions into him. But they didn't have enough power to blow the villain away. Come here. The villain attempted to grab Bakugo, but Midoriya pulled him away with his psychic powers. You okay, Kaken? Midoriya asked. I'm on my guard down, thanks. Midoriya then looked towards the villain and attempted to grab him like before. The sludge villain saw this and split into multiple pieces. Midoriya grabbed a few, but the remaining pieces formed together and attacked him. Watch out. Bakugo yelled as he pulled Midoriya away. Nice try, kid. But now that I know about your powers, you catch me again. The slime villain said as he pulled the rest of his body together. Minute. Bakugo growled. Kaken. Midoriya called out while staring at the villain. We need to run now. Bakugo and Midoriya then fled, but the slime villain was in hot pursuit. Don't think you can get away. If you got a plan, Zeku now would be a good time to use it, Bakugo said as he turned to Midoriya. He then noticed that Midoriya was taking exasperated breaths and looked exhausted. What the hell? Why are you tired? Just wait for it, Midoriya said, as they got closer to the police and the slime villain was about to grab them. But suddenly he was being blasted by a force he couldn't see. What's What's happening? The villain screamed. That attack, it's your future sight. Bakugo said to Midoriya, now understanding why his friend was so tired. Yeah, I unleashed everything I had on him. Let's hope it keeps him down. As Bakugo let Midoriya lean on him, the slime villain reformed and attacked them. You DM brats. Bakugo and Midoriya closed their eyes expecting the worst, but nothing happened. When they opened their eyes, they saw All Might holding off the villain. All Might! Bakugo and Midoriya shouted. My apologies, young man. It looks like you had a cover for me once again. But worry not, for I am here. Detroit Smash. All Might then punched the villain so hard that not only had he dispersed the slime, he changed the weather. As the slime villain was gathered up and placed into a sealed containment unit to be transported to prison, reporters surrounded All Might and began to ask him many questions. Meanwhile, Bakugo and Midoriya were being looked over by paramedics, as well as being scolded by the heroes. What the hell were you doing? Death Arms, a pro hero with super strength, asked. Why did you stay and fight? You should have ran with the other civilians. But we were being chased. The villain could have been handled by us if two over-eager teens weren't in the way. Kamui Woods, a hero with tree limbs, interrupted Midoriya. Shut up, you DMN extras. Bakugo shouted, getting everyone's attention. If you let him finish, Zeku would tell you that the villain was after us. If we ran with everyone, we'd be putting all of their lives in danger. A lie to cover up your actions. Death Arms said. Bakugo was about to yell back at him when. They're not lying. All Might, everyone said, as the number one hero entered into the conversation. How can you be sure, All Might? Kamui asked. Because I caught this villain before, when he attacked the fox lad earlier. Now the fact that he escaped is my fault, one I take full responsibility for. But the villain was clearly after these two. As such, this is a case of self-defense. And thanks to the heroic actions from these two, there were no casualties. Kamui and Death Arms then looked at each other before looking back to Bakugo and Midoriya. Well, if All Might is covering for you, then you must be telling the truth. Kamui said to them. While Midoriya was glad they weren't getting scolded, Kamui's words only infuriated Bakugo even more. After being let go, Bakugo skulked off away from the crowd, while Midoriya went around shaking all the heroes' hands. Later, when Bakugo and Midoriya were walking home, Midoriya had an extremely excited look, and Bakugo knew why. So Zeku, what forms did you unlock? How did you know Kakin? Come on, Zeku, do you think I'm stupid? I was there when you read your book. Plus you have a terrible poker face. I wanted to surprise you at the exams, but since you know already. Midoriya then transformed into a fox-like creature of a light green color. He also had a leaf growing out of his forehead, and his tail and ears had taken a leaf-like appearance. I got this from Kamui Woods. It's called Leafeon. Midoriya explained. So, I'm guessing your powers are plant-based then. Yep. Vines started to grow out of Midoriya's wrist. Now I have these vines to grab or attack from a distance. Not bad. Did you get any others? Midoriya smiled and transformed into a light blue aquatic-looking fox. I got this from Backdraft. It's an aquatic fox called Vaporeon. Nice, but it won't be enough. I'm still going to be the next number one. Doesn't mean I'll stop trying, Kakin. I'm giving my all. You better, Zeku. As Bakugo and Midoriya continued their conversation, someone was watching them from the shadows. Those boys have such potential. Still, I shouldn't rush to decisions, but they would both be good candidates for One for All. Perhaps I'll talk to them about it tomorrow. It was All Might in his skinny form, and he had followed them as he saw their potential and considered them both for his successor. Midoriya and Bakugo were walking home after school. Just 10 more months until the UA entrance exam. Then we'll show all those extras what real heroes look like. Bakugo said with a grin. Right, I think we should start training soon. I still need to learn about my new forms. Midoriya said, while he was writing something down in his journal. As Bakugo and Midoriya were chatting and walking, All Might suddenly appears in front of them. I am here. All Might. Bakugo and Midoriya were shocked that the number one hero was in front of them. Yes, it is I, All Might. Here to ask you two an important question. Really? Midoriya asked in awe. Yes, But how about I ask over lunch? My treat. Bakugo and Midoriya couldn't pass up a chance to have lunch with the number one hero. After they sat in a restaurant, All Might chose and ordered. Bakugo turned to All Might. So, what did you want to ask us, All Might? Bakugo asked. Let's start with a question with an obvious answer. Do you too want to be heroes? Of course. Midoriya excitedly answered. It's the whole reason we're going to UA. Bakugo answered. Good. And I'm sure you'll both make great heroes once you graduate. Now, hypothetically, of course, let's say someone were offered the chance to become the number one hero right now. They just had the means to do it, and all you had to do is say yes. Would you take that offer? No. Bakugo answered without hesitation, which surprised All Might. I wouldn't want any cheats or shortcuts to the top. I want to make it there with my own power to prove that I am the strongest. Me too. So no, I wouldn't take the offer either. Midoriya answered. Good answer, you too. The reason I ask is because my former sidekick has a plan I'm not so sure of. You mean Sir Night-Eye or David Shield? Midoriya asked. Night-Eye, you really know your stuff, young man. Oh well, I'm a big fan is all. Midoriya was rubbing the back of his head, while Bakugo was snickering a bit. All Might couldn't help but appreciate the dynamic of the two. They really balanced each other out. Nothing to be ashamed of, young man. In fact, you should put that analytic mind to work at you. I'm sure it'll get you far. Now, Sir Night-Eye has a protege, someone who would be my replacement. Replacement, Midoriya and Bakugo said in unison. Don't worry, not anytime soon. But I will grow old and eventually have to retire. Even the strongest hero can't defeat time, and Night-Eye would like to have someone ready to take my place when it happens. So he wants me to give the young hero a kickstart, something like an endorsement. But I'm afraid if I do, all the people will see is that I approve of him. They won't see him for his power or achievements. I see, Midoriya said as he began to wonder who this young hero is. I know Night-Eye was supposed to be the brains of your operation back when you two were working together, but it's really dumb that he didn't consider how this would affect the public's view of this protege. Bakugo said, True, Night-Eye may be a brilliant tactician, but he can often forget about how people will react emotionally to his suggestions. It's one of the reasons we don't work together anymore. Your answers have reaffirmed my thoughts on how his protege will act, but enough of that. Our food is here. The waitress came out with their orders, and they all enjoyed the meal. Later that night, in Night-Eye's agency All Might, now in a skinny form, Night-Eye and Mirio Tagata, a third year from you, and Night-Eye's protege, were sitting in Night-Eye's office. All Might has just explained his power, and it's passed to Mirio. Wow, that's quite the story. Mirio said as he was left speechless at learning All Might's secret. Now that you know of All Might's condition and our urgency to find a successor for One for All, do you accept? Night-Eye asked. I'm sorry, sir, but I refuse. Why? I figured. It's because of your power and the effort you put into mastering it right. All Might asked. Right, All Might. I put so much work in mastering permeation, and if I accepted One for All, I would have to MSTR that to setting my progress back to 0. Mirio explained. I admit it would be challenging, but please reconsider, Mirio. Night-Eye pleaded. I'm sorry, sir. While I'm honored you and All Might chose me, I just can't throw away all my hard work. It's all right, All Might said while getting up. Thank you for your time, young Togata. Oh, and remember this stays between us, okay? Right? Mum's the word. Mirio replied as he left the office. After he left Night-Eye, and All Might sat down to discuss what had happened and what they were going to do next. How did you know? Night-Eye asked. I talked to some promising fledgling heroes who will be joining UA. I asked them what they would do, and they gave similar answers. All Might, did you tell them about Don't worry, Night-Eye. I phrased in a way that looked like you wanted me to introduce Mirio as my replacement. They know nothing about One for All. Good. We can't have this secret getting out. Now what to do about finding a successor? Don't worry, Night-Eye. I already have a plan. 1 week later, Midoriya and Bakugo were walking to a training spot Midoriya had found. So where is this spot, Zeku? Bakugo asked. It's Takoba Beach. Midoriya responded. Takoba Beach. Why are we headed there? Well, I've been doing some research, and we will be allowed to use our quirks there. Okay, and the catch? Well, you'll see when we get there. After a half hour of walking, they finally arrived at the beach, or rather the dump the beach had become. What the hell? Bakugo was confused and shocked at what he saw. I thought this was a beach, Zeku. It looks like a dump. Yeah, due to the currents around here and trash anyone throws into the waters nearby ends up washing up on the beach here. The city hasn't done anything about it and has even granted limited quirk usage at this area if it's used to help clean up. And that's your training. Cleaning up this dump. Yeah, we could come here after school for the next 10 months to practice new moves with our quirks or even just the basics. Plus, some of the garbage here is large enough to practice bigger, finishing moves. While Bakugo didn't like the idea of cleaning up someone else's mess, Midoriya did make a good point. As long as it was used against the garbage, they were free to let loose with their quirks as long as they didn't cause any damage to the surrounding areas. All right, Zeku. I don't like it, but you make a good point. Before Midoriya could respond, he and Bakugo could hear the sound of someone dragging something heavy. What's that? Bakugo asked. It's coming from a beach. I think someone may have had the same idea. Midoriya answered. They both went down to where they heard the sound and saw a blonde girl. She appeared to be in high school already, and she was in a tracksuit and dragging a large fridge across the beach. And someone was there coaching her. It was All Might. Midoriya and Bakugo said, startling both the girl and All Might. Oh, it's you too. What a coincidence. All Might said with a chuckle. Yeah, who's this, by the way? Midoriya asked as he and Bakugo walked towards All Might and the young girl. The young girl then stepped up to introduce herself. Hello there. I'm Melissa Shield, and I'm here to train for the UA entrance exam. She said. Shield, would you be related to David Shield? Midoriya asked. Yep, he's my papa. That's why Uncle Might offered to help me train for the UA entrance exam. Whoa, so cool. Midoriya was in awe of this. Quick question. Are you in high school already? Bakugo asked, interrupting the moment. Because you look older than a junior high student. Kakin. Midoriya was shocked by Bakugo's rude comment. But Melissa just laughed it off. No, it's all right. He's correct. I'm actually a second year at Island support course. But last week my quirk finally developed, and through Uncle Might's recommendation, it was decided that I would transfer into the hero course at UA. Amazing. So if you don't mind, what is your quirk? Midoriya asked with a notebook and a pencil ready. Where the hell do you keep those, Zeku? Bakugo said to himself, confused as how his friend always had a notebook ready. Well, how to explain? It's called energy storage and amplification, but I'm thinking of just shortening it to superpower. You see, since I developed my quirk at the age of 5, my body has been storing energy inside of me, and I can use it to supercharge any part of my body. But I couldn't use it until recently, and I grew up thinking I was quirkless. Melissa explained. I see, that must have been tough. Midoriya said in an understanding tone. He remembered, as short as it was, the week he was bullied because he didn't get a quirk. Yeah, but I had good friends and even Uncle Might's support to get through it. Melissa said, gesturing to All Might, who gave his trademark smile back. But a week and a half ago, when I was trying to swat away an annoying fly in the lab, my quirk activated. And I wound up destroying half the lab. And my arm. Whoa, wait, your arm. Yeah, since I grew up thinking I was quirkless, I never trained my body. So, when my quirk activated, my body couldn't handle it. And that's when I stepped in, All Might said, inserting himself into the conversation. After hearing about Melissa's quirk from my good friend, I couldn't help but notice the similarities between hers and mine, and I volunteered to help her control her quirk. And how exactly will you do that? Bakugo asked. With this, All Might then pulled out his own notebook. The All-American Training Program. With this, she should be able to build up enough bulk for her quirk and be ready to take the UA entrance exam. How about that? Me and Kakin were also going to use this beach to train since it allows quirk usage to clean up the trash. Midoriya said. Ha. Well, great minds think alike. Since you two will be training here, do you mind helping out Melissa? After all, training goes much better with friends. Of course, All Might. I don't mind, but don't expect me to go easy on you just because you barely got your quirk. Bakugo and Midoriya were excited to join Melissa and All Might. All Might was relieved. He wasn't sure about the two boys joining in, but they could increase Melissa's progress. And so for the next 10 months, Bakugo, Midoriya, and Melissa all trained at the beach. Of course, the boys were curious about her quirk, but Melissa was able to avoid showing them until she felt ready. Melissa was quite impressed by Midoriya's analytical skills. The Green Fox boy was great at observing someone's abilities and coming up with all the things they can do with it. What impressed her just as much was the boy's quirk. When he said his quirk was Adaptable Fox, she was confused. But after showing her his different forms and explaining that he can get new ones by coming into contact with people with the correct quirks, she was amazed by it. She had never heard of a quirk this versatile before. Throughout the training, Midoriya showed her his different forms and showed the benefits of each one. His water form would look like it was melting into the water, and he would become completely invisible while submerged. His grass form was able to turn his leaf tail and ears into hardened blades stronger than steel, and he could use photosynthesis to sustain and heal himself. And finally, his psychic form that had immense telekinetic powers. On the other hand, what Bakugo lacked in analytical skills, he made up in sheer combat prowess. Bakugo's quirk was Explosion, and while not as versatile as Midoriya's, it was powerful. Throughout the months of training, anytime she was with Bakugo, he was blunt about her progress to the point of being rude, but he was honest. He also acknowledged any time she did good in her training and offered the occasional tip here and there. But what really made him stand out to her was his attitude. A never-back-down spirit that was ready to take on the world and become the next number one through his skill and power alone. The two were total opposites in personality, but they complemented each other and helped each other's shortcomings. Bakugo seemed to learn when to hold back on his comments, and Midoriya gained confidence in himself. And finally, the one thing that really helped Melissa was their drive. Both boys had the same indomitable spirit to reach their goals, and that rubbed off on Melissa and pushed her to go beyond. The 10 months were nearly done, and Melissa was meeting All Might at the beach at night. All Might was in his skinny form when he addressed his successor. "I'm really proud of you, Melissa, and so is your father. You've come a long way, and I believe you are ready to inherit my power. Thank you, Uncle Might, and don't worry. I'll make sure that One for All continues to be a light to drive away the darkness and bring hope. Thank you, now eat this." All Might then held out a piece of his hair. "What?" Melissa responded in confusion. "To inherit my quirk, you have to consume my DNA. You could try drinking my BLD, or no. This is fine." Melissa then took the hair and tried to swallow it. "Here." All Might handed her a bottle of water to help her swallow. She took it readily and drank it to help the hair go down. "Now, it'll need to digest before you can use the power or One for All. It'll be ready by tomorrow. With a week until the entrance exams, hopefully young Midoriya and young Bakugo could help you in getting used to the quirk." "Okay, I think I need to lie down," Melissa said, still grossed out that she swallowed her uncle's hair. "See you tomorrow, Uncle Might." Melissa then left to her apartment nearby, while All Might stared out into the ocean. "I truly hope you'll be ready for this responsibility, Melissa. The road ahead will not be an easy one, but luckily you are not alone. You have friends like young Bakugo and young Midoriya to help you along the way." Midoriya and Bakugo have just come out of school and are heading towards the beach after changing out of their school uniforms. When they arrive, they see Melissa and All Might, in his buff form, already there. "There you are. Before we begin, look around." All Might gestured to the beach that was now clean and free of trash. "The beach is now pristine and appealing again, thanks to your hard work, kids. Now, in days most heroes are all about flashiness and capturing villains, but taking care of your community is also a big part of being a hero. So take heart that you have taken your first step on the road to being heroes. Good job." All Might then flashed a smile and shot a thumbs up at Midoriya, Bakugo, and Melissa. Melissa giggled a bit, while Midoriya was giddy with excitement that the number one hero was praising him. Bakugo had a confident grin on his face at this. "Now then, with the exams only a week away, I suggest we practice on using our quirks in a practical situation." "But All Might, With the beach now clean, are we allowed to use our quirks like this? Midoriya asked. Good observation, young Midoriya, but fear not. Behold. All Might pulled out some papers. Official quirk use documents, signed by UA. You kids will be allowed to use your quirks as long as I'm supervising. All right then. So how do we start? Bakugo asked, eager to start today's training. Since you two have gotten used to your quirks since childhood, I suggest we start with Melissa. Ladies first after all. Bakugo and Midoriya nodded at the suggestion and made room for Melissa. Melissa began to charge one for all into her arms. Okay, I think I got it. Melissa was smiling at her achievement, but soon she grimaced with pain. Even with all the work I put in, just charging on my quirk is straining my arm. I see. Midoriya then changed into his Espion form. Melissa, can you charge up again? Into the other arm if you want. Okay, but why did you change into that form? This one increases my critical thinking skills. Melissa nodded and began to charge up again. After observing, Midoriya nodded in understanding. Okay, I see the problem now. You're putting all of the power into your arms. Now I know you've been working out these past months, but your body is not ready for 100% yet. Instead, try smaller percentages. I see. You're right, Zeku, thanks. You're welcome. Did you just call me Zeku? Yeah, we're friends, right? I can't call you by your nickname. What? I mean, yes, of course you can. Midoriya was blushing and beginning to stumble over his words. Bakugo couldn't help but chuckle at his friend's nervousness around girls. Okay then. Melissa started to charge up. 1%, 5%, till Melissa kept on going. 15%, I think that's it. I can use 15% without hurting myself. Good work, Melissa. And you too, young Midoriya. Great observations. All Might said with a smile. Thanks, All Might. Now what do we do next? Bakugo asked. They all thought about it, until Midoriya had an idea. I got it. Midoriya shouted. Melissa, use your quirk to try and catch me in Kakin. What? That's your idea, Zeku. A game of tag? Bakugo asked. Yeah, this would help Melissa get used to using her quirk before we start combat exercises. Not a bad idea. All right, let's get ready. At All Might's instruction, everyone got into position. Melissa began to charge up, and Bakugo and Midoriya, now in his EV form, got ready. Begin. Melissa shot towards Bakugo and Midoriya, but they were both quite agile and used to their quirks. They easily evaded her attempt to catch them. Melissa turned around and started to charge up again. But even with her increased speed, it was easy to predict her movements and evade her. Stop! Bakugo yelled. I already found another problem with you, Shield. You charge up your quirk to chase us, right? Yeah. She answered back. And what do you do after that? Well, I try to grab you, and if I miss, I start charging again. And that's the problem. You shouldn't have to start charging your quirk again. It should just be on. Your quirk is an extension of yourself. Using it should be as second nature as using your ears to hear or using your nose to smell. So charge up and don't turn it off until we're done. And work on that charge time as well. A villain won't wait for you to be ready. Thanks, Kakin. Yeah, whatever. Bakugo turned away while he was starting to blush. Great advice, young Bakugo. Now get ready. Everyone got in a place. Go. The training continued like this for the rest of the day and 3 more days. Melissa was getting better at using her quirk, but she could not catch Bakugo or Midoriya. Still, she was making progress, getting faster and becoming more flexible with her movements. With 3 days remaining, All Might thought it best to focus on sparring so Melissa could get used to combat. While Melissa was making great progress with her training, Bakugo and Midoriya also made great strides. Midoriya was shortening the time and energy it takes to SWCH between his forms, making him much more versatile in combat and rescue situations. Bakugo was learning on how to deal with attacks you can't see coming, and also learned to charge his explosions in his palm to make it much more devastating. The support gear he had in mind would take care of that, but knowing how to do it on his own made it, so he wasn't relying on his gear. Entrance exam location the time had finally come. 10 months of intense training for this moment. Bakugo, Midoriya, and Melissa all stood in front of exam location, brimming with excitement. Here it is. This is where we start our path to becoming heroes. Midoriya said, yeah, let's show these extras what real heroes look like. Bakugo responded back. As the three were walking towards the entrance, Midoriya was writing in his notebook. Hey, Zeku, watch where you're going. You're going to trip over your own feet. Bakugo warned Midoriya. Despite Bakugo's warnings, Midoriya, still writing in his notebook and not paying attention, did in fact trip over his own feet. As he was nearing the ground, Midoriya started to float and hover in place. What the hell? Melissa and Bakugo were both confused by what was happening as Midoriya was still in his EV form, so he could not be floating with his own power. Sorry about that. They turned to see a brown-haired girl with a round face and pink cheeks behind them. I probably should have asked if you wanted to be saved. The girl said, No, it's okay. Thanks for the help. Midoriya replied as he got up. No problem. So you three nervous too? Yeah. A little. No way. Midoriya, Melissa, and Bakugo all gave their responses. The girl was confused by the three responses, but just smiled afterwards. Well, come on. Let's go. The girl walked up the steps with Midoriya and Melissa in pursuit. Bakugo followed as well, but also rolled his eyes at the carefree nature of the girl. The first part was the written portion of the exam. Luckily, Bakugo, Midoriya, and Melissa had studied while they were training. Finally came the practical portion of the exam. As all the students sat in their seats, one of the teachers from walked up to the podium in the center. This was Present Mike, a hero with powerful voice quirk. All right, examinees. Are you ready for the practical? He shouted to the examinees, but no one answered back. I said, Are you ready? Again, silence. Tough crowd. Anyways, for this part of the exam, we're going to separate you all into 4 groups and bus you out to test cities. He then pushed a button, and a screen behind him showed a picture of the cities, as well as the silhouettes of 3 robots. Inside these cities are robot targets that you have to destroy. They have different point values based on how dangerous they are. You should be able to see the point values on the information pamphlets we gave you. Excuse me. A student with blue hair and glasses raised his hand to get the teacher's attention. Why are there only 3 robots on the screen when there are 4 on our papers? If this is an error, it is unacceptable from such a prestigious school as UA. And you, the Green Fox, you have been muttering this whole time. Stop it, it's distracting. If you can't take this test seriously, then leave. Midoriya was startled at being singled out, but after looking towards Bakugo and receiving a nod, he took a deep breath and looked straight back at the rude boy. Look, my muttering is me analyzing the test and coming up with different strategies to pass it, and it doesn't seem to bothering anyone else except you. Also, if you didn't interrupt Present Mike, he would have explained the 4th robot already. If you don't have the patience for the teacher's instruction, then maybe you should leave instead. The blue-haired boy was taken aback by Midoriya's words while Bakugo was snickering. He was about to say something back when Present Mike spoke up. Now, examinees, save the fighting for the robots. And as for examinee 7711's question, the 4th robot is an obstacle. It is worth 0 points, best just to ignore it. Thank you. The boy then sat down, and Present Mike explained the rest of the rules. Now then, while we are allowing you to use your quirks, make sure you use them on the robots and not your fellow examinees. Any aggressive action taken against a fellow student will result in immediate disqualification. After all, this is a school for heroes, not villains. Now say it with me, kids. Go beyond plus ultra. Now that's more like it. With that, everyone changed into different clothes for the practical exam, and were put into buses headed to their designated testing sites. When they arrived, Midoriya noticed that Bakugo was not around. He must be at a different site. Zeku. Midoriya turned to see Melissa. Oh, hey, Melissa. Looks like we got the same testing city. Yep. I know I've been training these past months, but I'm still nervous. Yeah, but we can't let that stop us. We have to go beyond our fears. Yep, plus ultra right. While they were chatting, Midoriya noticed the brown-haired girl from before. Hey, look, it's that girl from the entrance. Oh yeah, the one that saved you. Melissa said, making Midoriya droop his ears in embarrassment. Yeah, she seems nervous about this. Maybe I should go talk to her. Oh, already putting the moves on the girl. No, I just want to give her some encouragement, is all. I'm just teasing Zeku. Go on then. With Melissa's encouragement, Midoriya went to speak with the brunette. but someone stopped him. It was the boy from earlier. What are you doing? Do you plan to distract that girl and ruin her chances to succeed? Of course not. That girl is trying to focus on the test. It would be best to leave her alone. Actually, it would probably be best to talk to her then. What do you mean? Think about it. If you were nervous about a test, wouldn't you want someone to give you words of encouragement? Well, yes, but after all, it's a hero's job to give hope and courage to those around them. You're right. Sorry for interrupting you, the boy said while he bowed to Midoriya. It's all right. We're all a bit nervous about the test. Hope to see you at UA. Midoriya bid the boy goodbye and continued walking to the girl. Hey there. Oh, it's you, the falling boy from earlier. Midoriya's ears drooped again after hearing that. Yeah, that's me. My name is Izuku Midoriya, by the way. Hello, Izuku. I'm Achiko Uraraka. Nice to meet you, Achiko. So you nervous? Yeah, I'm not sure if I can pass. Don't say that. You made it this far, right? Yeah. So have more faith in yourself. Besides, you already saved me today, so I know you can pass this test. Uraraka was surprised to hear this kind of encouragement from someone she just met. With renewed confidence, she smiled and nodded at Midoriya. Yeah, you're right. Let's do this, Izuku. You bet. While Midoriya and Uraraka were cheering in confidence, Melissa and the blue-haired boy were watching from a distance. Way to go, Zeku, Melissa said to herself. He reassured her with just a few words. To think I thought so low of him before. The blue-haired teen said while gritting his teeth. Soon the gates of the city opened, and everyone just stood there. What are you waiting for? Real life doesn't have starting bells. Get going, examinees. Present Mike, yelled from the wall. All of the examinees ran towards the gates to score as much points as they could before time ran out. Midoriya had used the speed boost from his EV form to get ahead of everyone, and once inside the city, he transformed into his Espion form. A couple of one-point robots came at him. Midoriya evaded their attacks while charging up 4 spheres of psychic energy. Midoriya then fired 2 spheres at each robot, destroying them. Just then, a 2-point robot came from around a corner and charged at Midoriya. Thinking fast, Midoriya grabbed some of the broken pieces from the other robots and hurled them at the 2-pointer, tearing it to shreds. All right, that makes 4 points. I can do this, Midoriya said to himself before leaving to find more robots. About half an hour has passed, and Midoriya had just destroyed 2 more one-pointers. He was looking around when he saw a 2-pointer close by. He was about to attack it when the robot shut down. What happened? Midoriya was looking around to see if someone else had done that, but he saw no one. Is the test over? He asked himself. Nope, that was me. Sorry for beating that robot first. A female voice called out. Huh, who's there? Midoriya began to feel around when he grabbed something. What is that? He began to squeeze the soft object, but then he pulled his hand back immediately after realizing what he grabbed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I couldn't see you, and I am not a pervert. I swear it. You know, I would normally punch where it counts for that. But you're kind of cute, and it was an accident. The invisible girl said. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, honest. By the way, how did you stop the robot? Oh, all the robots have an off button on the back of them. I guess it's for people like me who don't have combat-effective quirks. See you later, Fox Boy. Wait, who are you? Midoriya asked, but he didn't get a response. I guess she's gone. Midoriya then noticed 2 one-pointer robots and a 2-pointer go into an alley. When he checked it out, he saw they were about to attack some kid with messy purple hair. As they were about to strike, large rocks flew at the one-pointers and destroyed them. As the 2-pointer turned around, pieces of the one-pointers flew into it and destroyed its insides. Are you all right? Midoriya asked the purple-haired kid. Yeah, thanks. Why didn't you use your quirk? My quirk is brainwashing. Can't really use it on something that doesn't have a brain. The boy said, Wow, that's an amazing quirk. You could use it to help so many people. Like in hostage situations or standoffs, you could stop villains without any casualties. Thanks. You're the first one who thought my quirk could be used for good. Most people think I should be a villain. That's stupid. A quirk doesn't make someone a hero or a villain. It's what they do with it that counts. Thanks for the pep talk, but I don't think my quirk will help with these robots. True, but I ran into an invisible girl earlier, and she said there was an off button on the back of these robots. Midoriya then lifted one of the robots with his powers to show the purple-haired teen. See, try aiming for that. I see, thanks. Well, I'm off. Good luck with the test. Midoriya then took off to find more robots to destroy. Meanwhile, the teachers were watching from the observatory room. Look at that. Not only did he save the boy, but he also gave him some advice. A hero with a cowboy hat said, "Indeed, he has snipe. That will definitely help his score. I think it would be safe to say that he has little chance of failing. He has shown all the traits of a hero in this test." A small mouse-like person said, already picking favorites Nizu. "It wouldn't be because the boy has an animal quirk, right?" A scantily clad female hero asked. "Not at all, Miss Midnight. I'm just making observations on what he has shown so far." Nizu replied back to Midnight. "He has shown promise, that's for sure. But I wonder what kind of animal has psychic powers like that." A long-haired man dressed in black said, "His quirk is called Adaptable Fox or Evolving Fox. According to these papers he filled out, he has 4 different forms, each one with different abilities." A gray, square-shaped person replied, "That's definitely a unique quirk and a powerful one too." Midnight said, "Indeed, but it looks like all the candidates this year have promising quirks." Nizu said as he gestured towards the screen. "True, we haven't seen scores this high in a while." A person wearing a helmet that looks like a piece of construction equipment said, "Well, shall we?" Nizu gestured towards a large red button. "It's time for the true test. Let's see how they react to this." Snipes said as he pushed the button. Back at the testing site, Midoriya was looking around for more robots still in his Espion form. "I wonder how much time is left. I think I destroyed enough robots to pass. I lost track of my score around 30. Suddenly the ground began to shake, and the ground split open, and a giant robot came out. "What is that?" Midoriya yelled. "Wait, that's the 0-pointer. That's one crazy obstacle to throw at us." All of the examinees began to run from the giant robot. Midoriya was about to join them when, "Help, someone please help." Midoriya looked to the sound and saw Uraraka pinned by some of the debris from the giant robot's entrance. "Hang on, Uraraka." Midoriya yelled as he transformed into his EV form and rushed towards Uraraka. When he reached her, he transformed into his Leafeon form and cut the debris with his tail while lifting them away with his vines. The robot then reached for Midoriya and Uraraka. Midoriya grabbed Uraraka and transformed into his Espion form to blast the robot's hand with as much psychic power as he could. But then someone leapt towards the head of the robot. "Melissa!" Midoriya shouted as he saw her flying towards the robot. "Take this!" she yelled as she punched the robot. Her punch seemed to destroy the robot as its front plating was dented and it was starting to fall back. But it recovered and was reaching towards Melissa. "ACRP," she said as the robot reached for her. "Melissa!" Midoriya shouted as he flew towards Melissa with Uraraka in tow. Once he grabbed her, he looked towards the robot that was now trying to grab all 3 of them. "Back off!" Midoriya yelled as he attacked the robot with as much psychic energy as he could. Focusing on the plating, Melissa had already damaged Midoriya, pushed it inwards, and destroyed the inside of the robot's head. As they were floating down thanks to Midoriya's psychic powers, he turned to Melissa. "I'm surprised we managed to defeat that giant robot, Melissa." "Yeah, and with only 20% of my full power." "That was only 20%. Midoriya was astounded that Melissa managed to do so much damage to the robot with only 1/5 of her power. "Amazing. If you had used 100%, you could have destroyed the robot on your own. Your quirk is amazing, Melissa. But I didn't because I was afraid of breaking my bones. I guess I'm not much of a hero, huh?" "Not at all, Melissa. You came to rescue me in Uraraka, and there's no shame in holding back so you don't hurt yourself. After all, how can a hero protect others when they can't protect themselves?" "You're right. Thanks, Zeku. I'm here too, by the way," Uraraka said, getting their attention. "Oh, I'm sorry, Uraraka. I didn't mean to drag you along. It's just things were happening so quickly, and it's okay, Midoriya. You saved me after all." "You saved me too, Zeku," Melissa added. Zeku, Uraraka, was confused about the nickname. "It's just a nickname for Izuku, since he looks like a fox," Melissa explained. Zika, huh? I hope you don't mind if I start calling you that. And not at all. Go ahead, Uraraka. Midoriya said. Thanks for saving me, Zeku. Yeah, thanks, Zeku. Both Uraraka and Melissa said as they rested their heads on Midoriya's shoulders. Midoriya began to blush profusely until he started to glow pink. Suddenly, he changed from his Espion form into a new pink form with ribbons. What the? Without psychic energy, the trio began to free fall. Midoriya quickly realized he could control his new ribbons and place them in front of them to cushion the fall. Hang on, Midoriya yelled. Wrap those ribbons around us, Zeku. Uraraka asked. Midoriya was confused but trusted Uraraka. As soon as he did what she asked, Uraraka used her quirk on Midoriya and made them weightless. Luckily, it took effect right before they hit the ground. As Midoriya landed in a crater made by the robot, Uraraka spoke up. Do you mind placing outside of the crater, Zeku? Uraraka asked. Not at all. Midoriya then used his new ribbons to place Melissa and Uraraka outside of the crater. As soon as he let go, Uraraka went towards the nearest wall and vomited. Uraraka, are you okay? Melissa asked in concern. Yeah, I'm fine, Melissa. It's just the side effect of my quirk. If I use it for too long or too many times, I get nauseous. Uraraka explained. While they were chatting, Izuku was looking at his new form. How'd I get this? Was it Uraraka's quirk? No, she touched me back at the entrance, and I didn't get this form then. Midoriya was deep in thought when he remembered something. Wait, this form is called Sylvian, and it has something to do with fairies. But I didn't come into contact with any fairies or fairy-like quirks. Oh yeah, another thing about Sylvians was their high affection weight. Does that mean no Melissa and Uraraka are just good friends? There's no way they would want to be something more. As Midoriya was having a small panic attack, Uraraka and Melissa looked into the crater. Hey Zeku, are you okay? Uraraka asked. Huh? Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'll be right out. Midoriya then used his new ribbons to pull himself out. As he did, both Melissa and Uraraka were amazed by his new form. I didn't know you had this form, Zeku, Melissa said. Neither did I. I've just unlocked it right now. Midoriya responded. Wow, that's so cool. I wonder how you unlocked it, though. Uraraka said, as C was examining Midoriya's ribbons. I don't know either. I need to do more research on this when I get home. Midoriya said as he started to blush again. He was about to ask the girls another question, but he was interrupted by someone approaching them. Good job, kiddos. Great work all around. You're all heroes in my book. An old lady said. Who is that? Uraraka asked. It's Recovery Girl, the youthful hero. Midoriya answered. Youthful? Melissa and Uraraka asked in unison. Her quirk allows quick healing. It's one of the reasons you, can administer tests like this. Midoriya explained as Recovery Girl came up to them. Are you kiddos okay? She asked the trio. I have a sprain in my leg. Uraraka said. Recovery Girl's lips then stretched as she kissed Uraraka's leg. Uraraka began to glow for a bit and then stopped. My leg's all better. Uraraka exclaimed. That's how my quirk works, dearie. Here, have some candy. Recovery Girl said as she gave Uraraka some Pez. She then turned to Melissa. And what about you, sweetie? I hurt my right arm and legs a bit. Melissa exclaimed. Recovery Girl kissed Melissa's cheek, and Melissa glowed a bit and was healed. There you go. Here's some candy. Recovery Girl gave Melissa some Pez and turned to Midoriya. And what about you, lad? I'm fine. Midoriya said. Are you sure? I don't remember you looking like that. Yeah, it's my quirk. I just need to do some research when I get home. Well, if you say so. Recovery Girl then went off to see if anyone else was injured. While she was doing that, Present Mike was at the entrance calling all the kids over. That was a Plus Ultra Performance kids. You'll receive your results in the mail within a week. Thank you for taking the entrance exam. Everyone who didn't need medical attention headed towards the entrance to go home. With that, the entrance exams were over, and Midoriya had a lot to think about. The teachers were gathered around the table discussing the examinees' performance and deciding which students passed and what class they would go in. All right, then. Nisa said, Does anyone want to say something before we begin? Yes, sir. The man with long black hair said. This one, Izuku Midoriya. I recommend he be placed into my class, already taking the top picks Aizawa. Vlad, a hero who controls BLD, asked. Not at all, Vlad. But his quirk could prove problematic. Explain. Nizu asked. On his quirk application form, he states that he has access to unknown transformations if physical contact with someone with the right quirk is achieved. And as shown in the practical test, it could prove problematic. Aizawa then pulled out a remote and pushed a button. A holographic image then projected onto the middle of the group, replaying the scene when Midoriya had achieved his Sylvian transformation. As you can see, he wasn't expecting this new transformation at the time, and as a result, he and two other students were almost severely injured. I see your point, Aizawa, but his transformations places his quirk in the technical category, and all students with technical quirks are placed in my class. Vlad said, You both have good points, but I do agree with Aizawa and think Izuka Midoriya should be placed in his class. We do not know what other transformations his quirk could unlock or how powerful they may be. In case he loses control of one transformation, it would be best if he was in Aizawa's care, so if he could stop him before Midoriya does any serious harm to himself or his fellow students. Nizu reasoned. Vlad and Aizawa agreed and sat back down in their seats. Now, Aizawa, I do expect you to help Midoriya in unlocking as many forms as he can. Of course, sir. Aizawa said back to Nizu. The meeting continued on like this for the rest of the night. 1 week later, Midoriya's apartment. Midoriya was watching TV in the living room when the mail arrived. After seeing a letter from you, he grabbed it and went to his room. He just sat there staring at it for a while, nervous that he didn't pass. But he pushed those fears aside and ripped it open. As he did, a small disc-shaped device fell out and landed on his desk. Then it turned on, and a holographic image of All Might appeared. I am here, All Might, Midoriya yelled. Yes, it is I, All Might, here to tell you your results. Now you're probably wondering why I am the one giving you this message. Well, it is because I am now a teacher at UA. That's right, I came to this city to teach the next generation of heroes, like you, and just then someone from off-camera was telling All Might to hurry up. What? Yes, I know, but I wanted to add a bit more flair so it's not so boring. I got to do how many of these? Okay. An arm off camera then gave him a thumbs up and went away. Ahem, now where was I? Ah yes, young Midoriya, you scored 45 combat points. Not bad, but that wasn't the whole exam. In addition to combat points, we have rescue points. A panel of judges watch and score examinees based on their actions during the exam. And you, young Midoriya, scored 40 rescue points, making you second place among all the examinees. Midoriya then saw the scoreboard where he was second to Bakugo, who had 77 combat points and 10 rescue points. So, with that, congratulations. You've made it. You are now part of the Hero Academia. Izuku couldn't believe it. He began to cry tears of happiness. After calming down, he went to tell his mother, who congratulated him on achieving his goals. Sometime later, Midoriya and Bakugo were standing in front of the entrance, excited to start their journey. This is at Kaken. Yeah, let's blow these extras away, Zeku. They went in and found a large door with 1A written on it. Whoa, do giants come to this school? Midoriya asked. Doesn't matter. I'll blow them away too. Bakugo replied as he opened the door. They were among the first to arrive. As the only four, there were the blue-haired kid from before, a boy with red and white hair, and two girls, one with long dark green hair and one with long black hair tied into a ponytail. As Midoriya and Bakugo took their seats, Bakugo kicked up his feet and laid them on the table. The blue-hair boy noticed and marched towards Bakugo. What do you think you're doing? The boy asked. Bakugo turned annoyed at the boy's question. Take your feet off immediately. You are disrespecting our predecessors who used these desks before us. What the hell is with you? Did your old school shove a stick up your butt, or were you born with it? What? The boy was fuming until he took a deep breath and calmed down. I think we may have gone off on the wrong foot. Let's start over. I'm Tenya Ida from Sumai Academy. The boy then outstretched his hand, but Bakugo just scoffed. Sumai, so you think you're better than me? I'm going to enjoy tearing you a new one. You would attack me, your own classmate. Are you sure you're in the right school? Tenya asked. Bakugo just turned to ignore him when Midoriya spoke up to defuse the situation. Okay, now let's not start a fight on our first day of school. And besides, he isn't disrespecting our predecessors since these desks are brand new. Midoriya explained while pointing to a barcode on the side of the desk. How careless of me to not notice that. I must be more aware of my surroundings next time. Ida said while moving his arm like a robot. I'm Izuku Midoriya, by the way. Good to meet you, I'm Tenya Ida. The two boys then shook hands before Ida continued. So, Midoriya, I am curious about your quirk. What exactly are you curious about? Well, your transformations. Right now you have this dark green one. Then at the exam you were a lilac color, and when that giant robot attacked, you turned into a light green color, and finally, when you saved both those girls, you turned pink. I was wondering how many forms you have. Well, including this one, I have a total of 5 right now, but I can get more. Really, how? The green-haired girl asked. Well, if I make physical contact with the person with the right quirk, I get a new form with new abilities and powers. That's how my quirk got its name, Evolving Fox. That's amazing. Thanks. My name is Izuku Midoriya, by the way. Izuku extended his hand to the girl who shook it. Hi, Tsuyu, and my quirk is Frog. It pretty much lets me do whatever a frog can do and call me Tsu. Nice to meet you, Tsu. Midoriya then took the chance to introduce himself to the others in the room. The girl with black hair introduced herself as Momo Yaoyorozu, and her quirk was creation. It let her create any non-organic material from her body as long as she knew what it was made of and how to make it. Midoriya then went to the boy with red and white hair, but he didn't respond. He just looked at Midoriya with an angered look in his eyes. I want help make your quirk stronger, he said with a scowl. That's not what I wanted. I just wanted to make your acquaintance. Midoriya replied in his defense. So what powers did you unlock? The boy asked in an accusatory tone. From what you described of your quirk, that would be the only reason you would act so chummy. What? No, that's not the reason. So you didn't get any new powers from those exchanges then? No. Before the red and white-haired emo boy could grill Midoriya, any furthermore students began to enter, and he just went back to ignoring everyone. Midoriya went back to his seat, now saddened by the boy's accusations, and Bakugo was staring angrily at that boy. Midoriya just sat in his seat, dejected at how he was treated, but his mood brightened when he saw the next student. Melissa. Hey, Zeku. Melissa answered back. And Uraraka. Hi, Zeku. The brunette cheerily said. As Melissa and Uraraka went to take their seats, Melissa turned to Bakugo. And a hello to you to Kaken. Yeah. Nice to see you to Shield. As more students came in, Midoriya soon found himself surrounded by some of them as they gushed over his appearance. Ah, you are so cute. A pink girl with yellow eyes and small horns said. I know, right? An invisible girl said. Can I pet you? You owe it to me after all. Okay, Midoriya said in defeat as the pink-skinned girl and the invisible girl began to pet him. That is when Bakugo spoke up. Hey, see-through girl, what do you mean he owes you? My name is Toru Hagakure, and it's because he did something similar back the practical. You mean he pet your head? Azui asked. No, he grabbed my goods. Hagakure then crossed her arms to emphasize her chest. Everyone then turned to Midoriya, who was shocked and beet red with embarrassment. Don't say it like that. I couldn't see you. It was an accident. Midoriya yelled to defend himself. Holy CRP, man. You already got a second base. What's your secret? A boy with electric yellow hair asked. It was an accident. There is no secret. If you say so. My name is Denki Kaminari, by the way. Kaminari said as he extended his hand to Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya then shook Kaminari's hand, and he glowed yellow before he changed forms again. This form was a bright yellow color and had spike-like fur. Huh, what happened? Kaminari asked in confusion. I think you just helped me unlock a new form. Thanks, Kaminari. Midoriya exclaimed in happiness. Hey, yellow hair, what's your power? Bakugo asked. It's electrification and my name is Kaminari. So do you have electric powers now, Zeku? Midoriya then focused on the tips of his fingers and small electric charges formed between them. Yes, I do, Kaken. Everyone was admiring Midoriya's new form while the red and white-haired teen just sat at his desk while glaring at Midoriya. I can't let him touch me, he said to himself. Well, that's surprising. I didn't think it would happen this soon. Everyone turned to the entrance to see a disheveled man coming out of a sleeping bag. I thought it would take a lot longer and a lot more Quirk research before you got another form Midoriya. Okay, who are you? Midoriya asked. I'm Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher for the year. What? Almost every student exclaimed. All right, calm down already. You wasted about 8 to 12 seconds with your antics. That's not going to cut it. Real heroes know that time is valuable. Put these on and meet me on the training fields outside. Aizawa instructed as he handed out some gym clothes. Everyone was outside in their gym outfits, soon after while Aizawa prepared some equipment and robots. Sir, what about orientation? We're going to miss it. Uraraka said. Look, while I'm teaching at this school, I'm allowed to teach however I want, and we won't waste our time with pointless ceremonies like that. Instead, we're going to have a quirk evaluation test to see what your limits are. Bakugo catch. Aizawa then threw a baseball to Bakugo. What was your farthest throw in middle school? Around 200 feet. Do it again, and this time use your quirk. Our school system still conducts physical tests without quirk usage, believing everyone is born equal. That is a lie and should really be fixed. The unfortunate truth is that some of us are born with more advantages than others, and that's what these tests are for. To see what I'm working with. Bakugo, stand here and throw the ball. You're allowed to do anything you need to throw it. Just don't move from this spot. Right? Bakugo then stepped up and wound up his hand. Die! He yelled as he launched the ball with an explosion. Die! All the others thought as they watched on. So how'd I do? Bakugo asked. Aizawa turned the small device on his hands to show 705.2 meters. Man, that's crazy. A boy with weird elbows said. But we're allowed to use our quirks. This is going to be fun. The pink-skinned girl said. Fun is it? You won't think it's fun when the person in last place is expelled. Aizawa said to the students. What? But that's not fair. The students protested. Life is full of unfairness. It's a hero's job to fight that unfairness. Go beyond. The ball throws continued and were uneventful until Midoriya went up. He changed into his Espion form and picked up the ball with his psychic powers. Midoriya charged the ball with psychic energy for a few minutes and launched the ball with tremendous force. Aizawa then showed a distance of 1,005.3 meters. Holy CRP. That was amazing, dude. Kaminari exclaimed. Yeah, with power like that you would be unstoppable in fight. A buff teen with large lips said. Maybe if it was a contest of strength, but in an actual fight, that move would be impractical. Azui said, it takes too long to charge and can be easily avoided by someone who is paying attention. Yeah, but that's why I have other attacks that are harder to dodge. Midoriya explained. That's enough. Whoever's next, get to it already. Aizawa ordered. Uraraka went up next and used her powers to make the ball weightless and got a score of infinite. Everyone else's scores really couldn't compare it after that. The next test was the 50-meter dash. The first two were Tenya Ida and Tsuyu Azui. Ida managed to get a time of 3.04 seconds thanks to his quirk engine that gives him increased speed. Midoriya and Bakugo were next, and Midoriya was going to use his EV transformation at first, but then he changed into his new electrical form. Bakugo was curious, but kept it to himself for now. When the starting pistol went off, Midoriya shot off like a bolt of lightning and got a time of 3.54 seconds, while Bakugo got a time of 4.13 seconds. What was that, Zeku? Bakugo asked as he caught up. It was the power of this new form Kakin. It's called Jolteon, and they specialize in speed. Midoriya responded before he nearly fell. But doing it seems to take a lot out of me. Maybe you should train with this new form first, Zeku. You're right, Kakin. The two went back to the group as the next two students took their place for the 50-meter dash. The next test was the grip test strength, and thanks to his Leafeon form and its vines, he was able to get a good score. The rest of the tests were standard tests. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and a side-to-side jumping test. After final test, Aizawa had all the students gather in front of a holographic board where he posted the results. All right, here are your scores. I'm not going to go over every single one, as there is no point. This should give you a rough idea of where you stand. Aizawa explained as he showed the scores. Midoriya looked up and saw that he came in 4th overall, coming behind Bakugo in 3rd, Shoto Todoroki in 2nd, and Momo Yaoyorozu in 1st. He was pleased, but then focused on 2nd place. Todoroki, he said to himself as he looked towards the red and white-haired teen. All the students checked and hoped they weren't last. At the bottom of the leaderboard was Toru Hagakure. The invisible girl was shaking in fear at Aizawa's threat. And as for who's going home, nobody is. It was a logical deception to make sure you gave it your all. Aizawa explained. What? All the students except Yaoyorozu screamed. I thought it was obvious. I guess I should have said something. Yaoyorozu casually said. Yeah, you should have. All the students thought. All right, that's enough goofing around. Get changed and make sure to pick up a class syllabus from the classroom on your way out. Make sure to go over it by tomorrow. Dismissed. With that, all the students got dressed and got ready to go home. While Midoriya was getting the last of his things from his locker, Uraraka came up to him. Hey, Zeku. She greeted. Oh, hey, Uraraka. What's up? We were just wondering if you wanted to head down to the train station together. Ida added as he walked up with Uraraka. Sure. Want to join us, Kakin? Midoriya asked Bakugo, who was walking by. No thanks, Zeku, I got things to do. See you later. Bakugo replied as he walked off in a different direction from the train station. I wonder where he's going. Uraraka said. Not sure. He's probably doing some extra training. Midoriya responded. I see. He may be a rude delinquent, but he's dedicated. Ida commented. He's not so bad. He may be brash, but he has the heart of a hero. Midoriya said. If you say so. By the way, why do he and Uraraka call you Zeku? It's a nickname based on the word Zenko, since I look like a fox. I see. You can call me that too if you like, Ida. Thank you, but I'll stick to Midoriya. Room for one more. Melissa asked as she caught up to the group. Of course, Melissa. Thanks, Zeku. By the way, Melissa, your last name is Shield, correct? Ida asked. Yes. Do you have any relations to David Shield? Yep, he's my papa. Wow, that's so cool. Uraraka said in awe. Does that mean you've met All Might in person? You mean Uncle Might? You're that close with the #1 hero. I must say, Melissa, I'm a little envious. Ida said. The group kept talking like this as they walked towards the train station. The students were back at class the next day. Everyone was chatting amongst themselves, trying to figure out who the teacher is going to be for hero class. I am here, was heard as the doors to classroom were thrown open. Coming through the door like a hero, All Might shouted as he posed at the door. Look, it's All Might. Kaminari said. So he really is a teacher here. Man, this is going to be awesome. Kirishima, a person with a hardening quirk, said, and he's wearing his Silver Age costume. Ajui stated, I'm getting goosebumps, it's so retro. Mashireo Ojiro, a person with a tail quirk, said. All Might strutted over to his desk and turned to the class. Welcome to the most important class in UA High. Think of it as Heroing 101. Here you learn the basics of being a pro and what it means to fight for good. Now let's get into it. This lesson, All Might then pulls out a cue card that says Battle. We'll pull no punches. Combat training. Real combat. Already. Bakugo, Midoriya, and Melissa said at seeing today's lesson. But one of the keys to being a hero is looking good. All Might then pushed a button on a remote, and some slots in the wall opened up, revealing suitcases with numbers on them. These costumes were designed based on your specifications you filled out on your applications before school started. So get suited up and meet me at Training Ground Beta. At Training Ground Beta, they say that clothes make the pros, ladies and gentlemen. And behold, you are the proof. All the students came out in their hero costumes. Everyone was chatting and admiring each other's outfits when All Might spoke up. Man, you all look so cool. All right then, are you ready to begin? You bunch of newbies. As they were walking towards the observation area, Uraraka turned to Midoriya. Hey Zeku, is that your hero suit? Midoriya was in a dark green jumpsuit with white gloves and red footwear that was fitted around the shape of his feet. The jumpsuit also had a hoodie that had a slot for his ears to fit into, and he was wearing a kitsune mask. Think Drift's mask from Fortnite. The suit also had a hole for his tail to fit through. Hey Uraraka, and yet is. Midoriya responded. I almost didn't recognize you. This is so different from the cute appearance you have. Well, cute isn't exactly heroic, so I came up with this. The gloves are made to store energy from my various forms, so I can unleash a powerful attack when it's ready. The footwear was designed to take advantage of my natural nimbleness. And the mask has an opening at the mouth, so I can use the various attacks I can shoot out from it. That's impressive, Zeku. Melissa said. Thanks, Melissa. By the way, Shield, isn't your outfit a bit unoriginal? Bakugo asked. Melissa's hero outfit was dark blue with the waist area covered in red and white stripes. In the center of her chest was a white star, and her boots and forearms were yellow, and finally, she wore a dark blue eye mask that ended in flares of red and white stripes. Think a combination of Captain America's outfit, Stargirl's from Justice League, and All Might's. Also, her mask is of similar shape to Bakugo's, but different colors. Well, Kaken, Uncle Might was one of my heroes growing up, and it was through his recommendation that I'm even here. So, I thought I would honor him with my outfit. By the way, yours is quite bombastic, Kaken, Melissa said with a giggle. A pun. Let's hope you're as quick-witted in Battle Shield. Once they got to the observation area, All Might turned to the class. Now listen up. In this scenario, you will be competing in teams of two. One team, the villains, and the other one, the heroes. The villains have acquired a nuclear weapon and are threatening to use it on the city. The heroes are to go in and neutralize the threat. The heroes win if they capture the villains or the weapon. On the other hand, the villains win if they capture the heroes or hold out until time runs out. Sir, how do we capture the other team? Ida asked. With this, All Might then pulled out a roll of white tape. If you manage to wrap up your opponent with this capture tape, then they're considered out of the battle. I see. Thank you, sir. But isn't this a bit advanced for our first combat exercise? Azui asked. The best learning is done on the battlefield. Now time is limited, so to decide teams, we're going to draw lots. Is that really the best way to decide teams, sir? Ida asked. Actually, this works perfectly. Think about it. In a real emergency, you wouldn't have the luxury of choosing your teammates. You would have to work with whoever is available. Midoriya explained. I see. Life is a random series of events. Excuse my rudeness, sir. Ida said with a bow to All Might. No sweat, now let's draw. Everyone then pulled their tickets and found their teammates. After all the teams were decided, All Might then pulled from a box with the teams inside. All right, the first two teams to fight are these guys. One team was Midoriya and Uraraka, and the other was Bakugo and Ida. You better give it your all, Zeku. You to Kaken, the two said before fist-bumping. Team D will be the villains. You will have 5 minutes to prepare before the heroes go in. Once the hero team goes, and you will have 10 minutes to capture the villains or the weapon. After All Might finished his instruction, Bakugo and Ida went into the building and found the weapon on the 4th floor. So this is the weapon, Ida said as he tapped the outside of the nuclear missile. Fake, obviously. Bakugo was staring at the door thinking of a plan. So Bakugo, what's the plan? Simple. You stay here and protect the bomb, and I'll go out to fight Zeku. Not much a plan. Actually, it's just what we need. Zeku's forms and clever planning are the biggest threat to us. As long as I keep him busy, Pink Cheeks isn't much of a threat. With your speed, you can easily keep the bomb away from her. I see. You do make a point. Midoriya would be a very problematic if left to his own devices. Yeah, so I'll take care of Zeku, and if I manage to wrap him up in capture tape before time runs out, I'll help you take care of Pink Cheeks. Back outside, Midoriya and Uraraka were looking at the building plans given to them. Do they really expect us to memorize all these floors in such a short time? Uraraka said, we don't have to memorize all of the floors, just the ones with rooms large enough to hold the bomb. Here, there are large open areas in the 3rd and 4th floors. We should check these. Nice, Zeku. Hero team, enter. With that, Midoriya and Uraraka leapt into action. They managed to get into the building through a window on the 2nd floor. All right, we're in. So what's next, Zeku? Uraraka asked. The main problem will be Kaken. We should draw him out and attack him together. Do you think it will be that easy? Bakugo asked. Midoriya and Uraraka turned just as Bakugo set off an explosion in front of them. While they covered themselves from the blast, Bakugo grabbed Midoriya and threw him out the window he came in from. He then chased after Midoriya. "Kakin, what are you doing?" Midoriya asked. "What do you think, Zeku? I'm taking out the biggest threat. With Four Eyes' speed, Pink Cheeks doesn't have a chance at getting the bomb, leaving only you. As long as you're out here and away from the bomb, there's no way we can lose. I won't make it easy, Kakin." "Good. Don't hold back and give it all you got, Zeku." Midoriya and Bakugo continued their fight outside, while Uraraka was making her way to the 4th floor. As she reached the large room, she saw Ida guarding the bomb. As she was approaching, Ida was doing an awkward impression of a villain. Uraraka couldn't help but laugh a bit. You're a do-gooder. Her cover-blown Uraraka decided to just make a break for the bomb. But Ida was too fast and moved it to the other side of the room before she could touch it. "Nice try, hero, but it won't be that easy. Doesn't mean I'll give up." Uraraka then touched a nearby box to make it weightless and threw it at Ida. Ida used his speed to move the bomb, but Uraraka was moving to intercept his path. However, Ida was too fast and Uraraka couldn't catch him. A valiant attempt, but not good enough, hero. While Uraraka was thinking a way to get the bomb, Bakugo and Midoriya were having a mid-air battle outside, with Midoriya having transformed into his Espion form to keep up with Bakugo. Midoriya then raised his hand and caught Bakugo in his psychic field. "Not bad, but not good enough, Zeku." Bakugo then set off a continuous explosions from his palms, the force of which caused strain on Midoriya's concentration and eventually broke the field, freeing Bakugo. Now freed, Bakugo charged at Midoriya. He grabbed Midoriya's arm and swung him into the wall of the building. Midoriya pulled himself out before Bakugo could strike again and shot 4 spheres of psychic energy at Bakugo. Bakugo used his explosions to avoid the spheres, but Midoriya was focusing on him, giving the spheres a homing function. Bakugo set off a large explosion towards the spheres to destroy them, but one got through and slammed into Bakugo's gut. "Zeku," Uraraka called on the earpiece. "Yeah, Uraraka. There's only 2 minutes left, and I can't get the bomb." "What floor are you on?" "The 4th floor." Midoriya then flew towards the 4th floor window, but Bakugo was in hot pursuit. Midoriya reached the window and saw Ida with the bomb. He raised his hand to do something, but Bakugo slammed into him, carrying Midoriya to the roof. "What do you think you're doing? Our fight isn't over yet." Bakugo and Midoriya then crash-landed on the roof. As they were getting up, body of their gloves began to glow. "It's ready," Bakugo said. "Mine too," Midoriya responded. "One final attack. With all we got. No holding back. All or nothing." As both boys held out their hands, the students in the observatory room were getting worried. "What are they doing?" Kirishima said with concern. "If they both release those attacks, they'll destroy the whole building." Yaoyorozu stated. "Sir, you have to stop this." As Yui said, All Might understood their concerns, but that's what this test was for, to push the students to their limits. As All Might was about to tell them to stop, both Bakugo and Midoriya released their most powerful attacks at each other. A powerful clash of explosive and psychic energy soon engulfed the roof of the building. As the smoke cleared, everyone saw the roof was gone. All the students thought that Midoriya and Bakugo had killed each other. But then there was movement, and Bakugo and Midoriya rose from the rubble of the lower floor. But then Midoriya fell to one knee as Bakugo was walking towards him. "Looks like I win, Zeku." "Yeah, Kakin. In a one-on-one fight, you still beat me. But luckily, this isn't a one-on-one fight." "Huh? What are you talking about? With you up here and only about a minute left, there's no way Pink Cheeks can win." "I know, Kakin, but all I needed was one glance for my plan." Bakugo was confused until his eyes widened in realization. "SHD, hey, Four Eyes." Bakugo yelled into his earpiece. "What is it, Bakugo?" Ida responded. "Look out for an attack you cannot see." "What? Just do it. I'm on my way." Bakugo wrapped Midoriya with capture tape and took off to the 4th floor. Ida was confused, but took Bakugo's warning seriously. Suddenly, he was struck by a blast of psychic energy. Luckily, it wasn't a strong blast, and thanks to Bakugo's warning, Ida stayed standing. But Uraraka had taken advantage of Ida's momentary distraction and leapt at the bomb. Oh, no, you don't. Ida activated his quirk and pushed the bomb. I got it. Uraraka interrupted Ida, revealing she was on the bomb. No, Ida yelled. The hero team wins. All Might yelled through the intercom. And with 1 second left, DM in it, Bakugo said, You got me this time, Zeku. It was more luck than anything. Midoriya responded, having freed himself and floated down to the 4th floor. I couldn't put much power into the attack since you flew into me. So it was all luck that it was enough to give Uraraka an opening to get the bomb. A lot of battles are won through luck, young Midoriya, All Might said as he came into the 4th floor. But that doesn't take away from your victory today. You still had the quick thinking and reaction to launch that attack, even with young Bakugo after you. And, young Bakugo, yes, you lost, but do not let that get you down. As Midoriya said, it was simply chance that the attack gave Uraraka the opening she needed. In terms of skill and power, you two are pretty much equals. And your final display of power, though reckless, was still super cool. You both have so much potential. You could even give most pro heroes a run for their money. Keep up the good work. You won this time, Zeku, but I'm still going to be the next #1. We'll see, Kakin. The two fists bumped each other. Excellent display of sportsmanship. And Uraraka and young Ida, how are you two? We're fine, All Might. Uraraka answered. Yes, all good here, sir. Ida said, Excellent. And don't worry, you two performed excellently as well. Now let's go review the battle. All Might then took the group back to the observation room. Now the MVP of this exercise is young Ida. But shouldn't the MVP be one of the heroes? Zero, a boy with weird elbows, asked. Good question. Can anyone guess the reason why I didn't choose one of the heroes? Anyone at all? That is when Momo Yaoyorozu chimed in. Yes, sir. It is because Ida fully embraced this challenge. While Bakugo made the smart decision to take out Midoriya first, since he was the biggest threat, he should have taken Midoriya further away from the building. After all, the whole city is the battleground. And Midoriya let his competitive spirit with Bakugo get the better of him. When he and Bakugo were charging their final attack, that was the perfect time for him to change into one of his faster forms and get away to help his partner. In addition, that attack was completely reckless on both sides and could have detonated the bomb were it not fake. And finally, Uraraka messed up when she exposed her hiding spot to Ida. Had she not, she could have ended the exercise early. All of the students were applauding her explanation, while Ida was crying tears of joy that he had performed so admirably. Clever girl, but she could have left me something. She stole all my thunder. All Might thought to himself. Ahem. Well, you missed a detail here or there, but for the most part you are correct. Good work. Of course, sir. Knowledge is power after all. Next was the battle between the team of Todoroki and Shoji and the team of Ojiro and Hagakure. Ojiro and Hagakure were the villains, while Todoroki and Shoji were the heroes. After Ojiro and Hagakure set up, Todoroki stepped inside and froze the whole building with his quirk. All the students stood in awe at Todoroki's display of power. With the villain team, frozen Todoroki had no problem capturing the bomb. The hero team wins. All Might shouted. CRP, I don't think we would be able to beat him. Bakugo said, maybe the attack was quick, but it only froze their feet. I think we both have enough power to break the ice. And even if we can't beat him now, that doesn't mean we should just give up. We just have to go plus ultra in our training. Midoriya replied while writing down notes. So, just another wall to climb, huh? You won't be above me for long, half and half. Bakugo said with a grin. The next teams to fight were the team of Melissa and Yaoyorozu and the team of Jiro and Kaminari. Melissa and Yaoyorozu were the villains, while Jiro and Kaminari were the heroes. Yaoyorozu stayed behind in the room with the bomb, having blocked the door with steel beams and set up traps with her creation quirk, while Melissa went to meet the heroes head-on. Kaminari's quirk allowed him to fire electricity, but he couldn't control where it went, and with Jiro nearby, he couldn't use it to its full potential. Plus, thanks to her training with Bakugo and Midoriya, Melissa was quick enough to get in a strike and get out before Kaminari got a chance to use his quirk. Kaminari was swiftly defeated and wrapped with capture tape, leaving Jiro, whose quirk was headphone jacks that came out of her earlobes. While they were great for espionage, since she could hear the smallest of sounds with them in combat, it was clear Melissa had the edge. And just as quickly Melissa defeated Jiro. The villain team wins. All Might shouted. Melissa has gotten better. Midoriya commented. Yeah, she's definitely improved since the beach training. Bakugo added. The rest of the matches went by, and now everyone was gathered in the observation room. Good work to all of you. You have all gone plus ultra in these combat exercises. And for those of you who lost, do not dwell on your failures. Instead, use them to build yourselves into better heroes. All Might then looked at his phone. Well, looks like we still have 20 minutes for class. Does anyone have any questions? That is when Todoroki spoke up. Yes, sir. I would like to request one more combat exercise against Bakugo and Midoriya. Everyone was shocked to hear this. Are you sure, Todoroki? All Might asked. Yes, sir. I would like to know how I fare against the other two strongest students. Todoroki gave a glare at Bakugo, and Midoriya, a glare that Bakugo gave back. I see. Well, do you two have any objections? All Might asked. No, sir. Midoriya responded. You're going to regret this half and half. Bakugo cockily said. All right then. Who would you like for a partner, Todoroki? Excuse me, Uncle sir. Melissa said, getting All Might's attention. I would like to be Todoroki's partner. Really? Are you okay with this, Todoroki? Yes, sir. Okay then, let's head to the battlefield. With just enough time left, Todoroki had challenged Bakugo and Midoriya to one final match with Melissa as his partner. All Might led them to the building they would have the combat exercise in. All right, here we are. Young Bakugo, young Midoriya, you two will be the villains. Young Todoroki and Melissa, you two will be the heroes. You all already know the rules, so I won't go over them, but since we don't have much time left for class, your time for combat will be shorter. The villains will have 3 minutes to prepare, and the heroes will have 6 minutes to go in and neutralize them. Understood. All Might asked. The students all nodded. Good. Now villain team go in and prepare. Bakugo and Midoriya went into the building to find the bomb and prepare for Todoroki and Melissa. When they reached the bomb, Bakugo turned to Midoriya to discuss something. While they were doing that, Melissa and Todoroki were waiting outside. So, Todoroki, what's the plan? Melissa asked. Just stay out of my way. Todoroki coldly stated. I have to prove that I'm the strongest without his power. Todoroki said to himself. Melissa was taken aback by Todoroki's curtness, but what shocked her more was the look in his eyes. It was as though he was angry or hated everything. What does he mean without his power? Melissa said to herself. Hero team, enter. All Might yelled through the intercom. Todoroki then walked into the building with Melissa chasing after him. Before she could enter the building, Todoroki froze the whole building like before. All of the students thought it was over already as Todoroki and Melissa walked up the stairs and into a room where they saw the bomb. Huh? Where? And Kakin and Zeku. Melissa asked. Doesn't matter, we won. Todoroki answered as he approached the bomb. But suddenly he was attacked with an explosion. Thanks to Melissa's quick reflexes, she pulled him out of the way as Bakugo and Midoriya revealed themselves, both unharmed by Todoroki's ice attack. What? How? Todoroki asked in disbelief. Did you think we would fall for a trick we've seen already? You're either arrogant or dumb. Bakugo said with a grin. Before Todoroki or Melissa could react, Midoriya had charged in with a Jolteon form and tackled Todoroki. While Melissa was in shock, Bakugo charged in and engaged her in close combat. Todoroki tried to freeze Midoriya, but Midoriya was too fast for Todoroki to catch. He's in his electric form to outrun my ice attacks. Clever, but I only need to reach the bomb to win. Todoroki said to himself. Todoroki continued to shoot ice at Midoriya, but was also backing up towards the bomb. Todoroki reached the bomb and placed his hand on it. I got it. Todoroki looked at what he thought was the bomb, but what he saw was a bunch of junk and debris frozen in the shape of the bomb. What? We managed to gather a bunch of debris lying around, and with my psychic powers, I held it together when you froze the building. Thanks for the help building the decoy, Todoroki. Midoriya explained. Midoriya's last comment infuriated Todoroki, and he blasted a wave of ice in anger. Bakugo and Melissa managed to dodge the ice at the last minute, but Midoriya's feet were frozen. Todoroki, what the hell, half and half? Melissa and Bakugo yelled at Todoroki. He brushed off their anger and was about to attack Bakugo again, but a bolt of lightning whizzed by his face. What the? I may be stuck, but that doesn't mean I can't fight. Midoriya yelled. Midoriya continued to shoot lightning at Todoroki. Todoroki avoided the attacks and tried to put up a wall of ice to stop Midoriya's assault. But as he turned to attack Bakugo, Todoroki was grabbed by two rope-like appendages. Grabbing me with the vines from your grass form, Midoriya. Not too smart. Todoroki then began to freeze the vines, but the vines didn't break and he was pulled towards Midoriya. Good thing they're not vines. Midoriya was in his Sylvian form and blasted Todoroki with a sound attack from his mouth. Back in the observation room, all the students were in awe of the fight. This fight is incredible, Kirishima said in awe. I've got to get Midoriya to teach me how to shoot lightning like that. Kaminari said, they truly are amazing. I don't think any of us could handle Todoroki's initial onslaught. Yaoyorozu said, I know, right? That move is so unfair. Hagakure pouted. I wouldn't call it unfair, but it is troublesome. Ojiro added, I'm really glad I didn't have to face Midoriya. Really wouldn't want to go deaf after getting hit with that attack. Jiro said, I still think that Todoroki and Melissa have a best chance at winning this. Shoji said, but the hero team only has 3 minutes left, and they still haven't found the bomb yet. Bakugo and Midoriya have the upper hand strategically. Azui said, back at the battle, Todoroki tried to stop Midoriya's sound attack, trying to cover Midoriya's mouth with his hands. Midoriya caught Todoroki's hands with his own, and then his arms began to glow, one red and one light blue. Midoriya was shocked by this, and Todoroki took advantage of this and blasted Midoriya with ice. Shield! Throw Bakugo at Midoriya. Todoroki yelled as he freed himself and backed up. Melissa managed to catch on to Bakugo's attacks and threw him at Midoriya with a shoulder throw. As soon as Bakugo hit the ice, Todoroki unleashed a large ice attack and seemingly froze them both. We may not have found the bomb, but as long as Todoroki was interrupted when a trail of ice spikes was launched at him from the frozen villain team. Todoroki blocked the attack with a wall of ice he created, but he was both shocked and confused on what just happened. Ow! Todoroki asked. As if to answer his question, a red and orange glow was seen from within the ice where Bakugo and Midoriya were frozen. The ice then shattered and melted as Midoriya could be seen shooting flames from his mouth. Thanks for the power up, Todoroki. Midoriya commented. Todoroki was frustrated that he helped make Midoriya stronger. Based on what happened, I assumed you have flame and ice powers now. Todoroki said. Midoriya nodded at Todoroki's question and then looked at Bakugo, who nodded at him. Midoriya then charged at Todoroki while Bakugo re-engaged Melissa in close combat. Todoroki tried to freeze Midoriya, but Midoriya jumped above his ice attack and grabbed Todoroki while Todoroki grabbed him. Midoriya had changed into his new ice form, and the two began to freeze each other. Everyone in the observation room was staring in anticipation of this ice versus ice match, but Azui noticed something. Is it me, or does it look like Todoroki is slowing down? Azui's words seemed to be right. The ice around Midoriya seemed to slow to a stop, while the ice around Todoroki would soon incapacitate him. It looks like there's a limit to how much cold you can handle, Todoroki. Midoriya said. I could say the SS same for you and Midoriya. Todoroki rebutted with a shiver. My quirk doesn't just give me new powers. It also adapts my body for those powers, so I'm quite comfortable encased in ice like this. What? BB, but how? That SS shouldn't be possible. It is Todoroki, but you could escape this ice prison and heat yourself up if you use your other side. Todoroki's eyes widened in anger at that comment. And then no, IWW will never use my other SS side in battle. It's the only chance you have at winning, Todoroki. Todoroki didn't respond and defiantly refused to use his other power. What about your partner? She's doing her absolute best in this exercise. Don't you owe it to her to do the same? No, I don't care about that. That's disappointing, Todoroki. Midoriya stopped just shy of freezing Todoroki's head. He then pulled out the capture tape and wrapped Todoroki's head with it. Todoroki is captured, Kaken. All right then. Bakugo responded. He then evaded a punch from Melissa and used the momentum to knock her down to the ground. He then pinned her and wrapped her in the tape. Shield is captured. The villain team wins. All Might shouted through the intercoms. Sorry about that, Melissa. Midoriya said as he helped Melissa up. Sorry about what? She asked. About extending the fight. I could have captured you many times over already, but Midoriya wanted to try and break half in half for whatever funk he's in. Bakugo explained. Then shouldn't you be apologizing since you fought me? And what funk? Todoroki then used the flames from his left side to melt the ice encasing him. That funk, and yeah, I'm sorry. Bakugo said with a small blush. Once Todoroki was free, he turned and glared scornfully at Midoriya and Bakugo. That's enough, young Todoroki. While I don't understand why it wasn't plus ultra of you to not give your full effort in the fight when your partner was giving her all. And as for young Bakugo and young Midoriya, I don't like the fact that you prolonged the fight longer than it should have been, but I understand why. All Might said as he entered the room. Sorry about that, sir. Midoriya said. Bakugo, Melissa, and Todoroki just stood in silence. All right then, let's go review the battle. All Might then took the kids into the observation room, and after some deliberation, it was decided that both Midoriya and Bakugo were the MVPs of the fight. Welp, that's all the time we have for class. Now watch how a hero exits. Like he has somewhere to be. All Might shouted as he ran off to the school's main building. Wow, look at him go. Sato, a buff teen with large lips, said. Just like a hero. Kirishima added. Back with All Might, he reached the teacher's lounge just as steam began to come off his body, and he shrunk back into his skinny form while coughing up some BLD in it. I can barely teach a class. Some hero I am if I can't even last that long. I'm sorry, Melissa, but I'll have to speed up your training. All Might said to himself. The next day at UA was eventful due to some TV reporters somehow getting through the UA security perimeter. Through his actions during the chaos caused by the press, the class decided on Ida being the class representative and Yaoyorozu being the vice representative. The next day, Class 1A was outside in their hero outfits, waiting to board the bus to take them to rescue training. All right, everyone line up. Make sure to board the bus based on our seating order. Ida ordered while blowing a whistle. Wow, he's taking being class rep seriously. Uraraka commented. Yeah, maybe a little too seriously. Midoriya added. As they boarded the bus, Ida was angry that the bus layout ruined his seating plan. Cursed bus layout. Ida muttered to himself. Ida, you need to chill out, man. Mina Ashido, a girl who secretes acid from her pink skin, said. If we're pointing out the obvious, then I have a question for you, Melissa. Azui said. Oh, what is it, Azui? Melissa asked. Call me Tsu. Okay, Tsu, so what's up? It's about your power. Isn't it the same as All Might's? Hold up, Tsu. You're forgetting that All Might's punches are a lot stronger. That makes a big difference. Kaminari said. Not really, Kaminari. All Might has been a hero for years, so it makes sense that his punches are stronger. Give Melissa the same amount of time, and I'm sure she would be just as strong, maybe even stronger. Jiro said. Yeah, maybe you're right, Jiro. And it is odd how her power is so similar and her closeness to All Might. Wait, Melissa, are you All Might's secret kid he left in the care of his first sidekick so he could fight crime? What? Melissa shouted in shock at Kaminari's question. It makes total sense. Think about it. All Might was constantly making trips to America during his career. He probably had a secret lover there. Then when Melissa was born, All Might didn't want to stop fighting crime. So he made sure his first sidekick, David Shield, took care of her until her quirk was ready. Then he brought her here. It's like the most awesome backstory ever. And a wrong one. David Shield is my father. Uncle Might just saw my potential and put in a good word for me here. Melissa explained. Yeah, Kaminari, stop being stupid. Jiro yelled as she smacked him on the head. And besides, that's a lousy backstory. Your own father prefers fighting crime than raising you. Talk about depressing. You're right. Kaminari responded in a disappointed tone. Still, that power and All Might's recommendation will definitely help you be popular, Melissa. Not like my quirk. Kirishima said as he hardened his skin. All my quirk does is make my skin hard. Doesn't really help in standing out. That's not true, Kirishima. I think you have an amazing quirk. Midoriya said. Really? Thanks, man. If we're talking about popularity, then it'll probably be Bakugo and Todoroki who'll have a hard time getting popular. They don't really have heroic personalities. Azui said. Bakugo jumped out of his seat to face Azui. What did you say, frog face? Bakugo stopped himself and took a deep breath. Just prove you wrong once I become the next #1 hero, you dumb frog. Bakugo said as he sat back down. Maybe I am wrong. I wasn't expecting that. Azui said in surprise. You can thank Zeku for that. Him and Bakugo have been friends for a long time, and I think they rubbed off on each other. Uraraka said. Makes sense. You two made a great team yesterday. I wasn't expecting anyone to be able to beat Todoroki, but you two managed to do so quite easily. I'd say it was more luck than anything, Tsu. I was caught off guard when I got those new powers from Todoroki. If they weren't ice and fire powers, then we would have lost when Todoroki froze us. Midoriya said. That makes 3 new forms since joining you, eh? So how many forms do you have now, Midoriya? Ida asked, now over his frustration at the bus layout. Well, I had my standard form, psychic, water, grass, and pink forms when I got here. Then I got a new one from Kaminari, and 2 more from Todoroki, so that makes a total of 8 forms now. Amazing. You're going to be an incredible hero with all those forms, Midoriya. Yaoyorozu stated. Well, they're useful, but it's up to me to make them powerful. They soon reached the area where the rescue training was taking place. As they entered, they were astonished by what they saw. It looked like a theme park, but instead of rides, there were areas filled with different rescue scenarios. While they were all admiring the area, someone was walking up to them. Oh my gosh, it's the Rescue Hero 13. Uraraka excitedly screamed. Hello, students. 13, a hero dressed as an astronaut, greeted the students. All right, class. 13 and I will be in charge of your rescue training, as well as wait. Where's All Might? Aizawa asked. About that. 13 then did some hand signals to show that All Might had used up all of his time for his buff form and hero duties this morning. Aizawa's eye twitched before he let out an exasperated sigh and turned to the students. Well, class, All Might was supposed to be here, but he's preoccupied with some business and will not be able to make it. Oh man, bummer. The students all started to complain. But that doesn't mean we stop the class. Aizawa yelled with his eyes now red and his hair standing. All of Class 1, they straighten up at this. All right then, 13. 13 then stepped forward. All right, class. As you may know, I am the Rescue Hero 13, and my quirk is Black Hole. I use my quirk to get rid of debris or any other hazardous obstacle during rescue operations. But my quirk could easily be used to kill. On your first day, you took a quirk evaluation test to see how far you can push your quirks. And then you had a combat exercise to see just how dangerous they can be to your fellow students and other people. Today, you will put all of that knowledge to use in rescue simulations. I came up with the idea for this area to simulate many different disaster scenarios. I call it the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, but you can call it the USJ. 13's speech received a round of applause from the students. Okay, let's begin with Aizawa was interrupted when the light began to flicker and a large black portal opened up in the center of the USJ. As the students watched on in confusion, a bunch of people with different quirks were coming through the portal. As the last of them came out, a large bird creature with an exposed brain was the last one. He was easily the size of All Might, maybe bigger. The black portal then took on a humanoid shape and stood next to a gray-haired teen with hands all over him. Hey, Hirojiri, the teen said to the mist. All Might was supposed to be here, but I don't see him. Perhaps there was a last-minute change in schedule, Tamura. Hirojiri responded. And after I went through all the trouble of finding these playmates who were just dying to meet him. Oh well, maybe if we kill a few kids he'll show up. Tamura said. Back at the entrance hall, Aizawa was trying to figure out how these villains got past the UA security system. Hey sir, Is this part of this stay back? Aizawa yelled, interrupting Kaminari. This isn't part of the class. Those are real villains. All of the class was shocked to hear this. Real villains. But how did they get here? And why aren't the alarms going off? Yaoyorozu asked in concern. Good question. 13. Can you reach the main building? Aizawa asked. No good. My signal isn't getting through. There must be a villain with a quirk to jam our communications. Aizawa turned back to the villains knowing what he had to do. 13. Take the students and escape back to the school. I'll hold them off. But Aizawa, sir, your specialty is in surprise attacks and one-on-one fights. Your quirk isn't suited for a prolonged fight against a large group of villains. Midoriya stated. Thank you for the concern, Midoriya, but you don't become a pro if you're a one-trick pony. Aizawa put on his goggles and leapt at the group of villains. A few of them tried to shoot him down with their quirks, but Aizawa had already erased them as he descended. When he landed, he took out the villains that tried to shoot him down and continued to fight off the rest of them. While he did this, 13 was taking the students to the exit. The most annoying thing about pros is when they live up to the hype. Tomura said while he watched Aizawa. Kurojiri, go stop those kids from escaping. What will you do, sir? Kurojiri asked. Watch for my opening. Kurojiri then teleported to the entrance. As the students were running, he suddenly appeared in front of them. Hello and good day, students. Our information led us to believe he would be here, but I do not see him. Perhaps there was a change in the schedules after we acquired them. Kurojiri said. How did you get a schedule? Unless. That incident with the press yesterday, that was your doing, wasn't it? Midoriya stated. Correct. We have gone through extensive lengths for our plans. Besides, isn't this hallowed hall of justice the perfect place for the symbol of peace to take his final breath? Huh. You think you extras can take down All Might? Don't make me laugh. Bakugo said as he and Kirishima rushed in to attack. Wait. 13 yelled. But Bakugo and Kirishima already landed their attacks, only for the mist to reform. What the? Bakugo said in shock. I see you students live up to the reputation of your school. I'm not so foolish as to face you head on. How about I spread you out to meet my colleagues? Kurojiri then surrounded the class with a dark mist. When it dissipated, most of the students were missing. No, what happened to our friends? Ida asked as he looked around for them. The rest of the class faced the villain in front of them, as they still needed to deal with him. Melissa fell out of a portal and into the pool of the water disaster zone. She began to panic and swim up for air. That is when a shark man appeared in front of her. Well, you're quite the looker for a kid. Too bad you still have to die. The shark man yelled as he charged towards Melissa with his mouth of razor-sharp teeth ready. That is when he was struck by an unseen force. The shark man looked around to find the assailant, but couldn't find whoever it was. He was struck again by the unseen attacker and began to look around in frustration. Azui then came in and kicked the shark man away. Hey, Melissa, she said as she grabbed Melissa and swam towards the boat. After placing Melissa on the boat, Azui climbed on board. Thanks, Azui. Melissa said. You're welcome, and call me Tsu. Azui replied. Right, sorry about that, Tsu. It's all right. By the way, how did you do that earlier? Do what? Fight that shark villain. I couldn't even see your attacks. It wasn't me. I thought it was you. It wasn't me either. Then who was it? As Melissa and Azui were pondering this, they heard a commotion coming from the water. As they looked over the boat's railing, they saw all the villains in the water try to catch something. There it is. One of the villains shouted. I can't see it. How is it so fast? Who cares? Kill it already. Some of the villains then converged on a spot. As they jumped at whatever was there, it jumped out of the water. Zeku, Melissa shouted. Midoriya was in his Vaporeon form and fighting the villains. Fancy moves, kid. Now dodge this. One of the villains who controlled water then made a water claw and shot it at Midoriya. But Midoriya shot water out of his mouth and created a giant wave and launched it at the villains. What the hell? The villain shouted as his attack was swallowed by Midoriya's. Midoriya's attack managed to get that group of villain, but there was still many more approaching him. He dove back into the water, with some of the villains chasing after him. DM in it. He vanished again. How does he do that? It must be his quirk. As the villains tried to catch Midoriya, Melissa and Azui were watching all the action. That's right, Melissa said in a hushed tone, loud enough for Azui to hear, but not the villains. Zeku's water form makes him completely invisible when he is submerged underwater. Amazing, Azui replied. Yeah, but he's still outnumbered by the villains. We need a strategy to take them all down in one attack. Melissa pondered on this a bit while watching the villains try and catch Midoriya. Midoriya had drawn all of the villains to one side of the boat, and Melissa had an idea. Okay, Tsu, I'm going to jump up and launch a large attack into the water. I'm going to use a strong attack that might disorient me, so I need you to catch me okay. Okay, Melissa, but what's the point of the attack? Just watch and see. Melissa then jumped into the air. Zeku, get ready to freeze them. Stupid girl, one of the villains said. Melissa then punched towards the water hard enough to create a large air attack that went into the center of the villains. The attack caused the water to be pushed out and rush back in creating a whirlpool effect. What the hell? I'm being pulled in. It's too strong. I can't get out. The villains began to shout in panic. Midoriya jumped out of the water and changed into his glacian form. When the villains were in the center of the whirlpool, he fired an ice beam attack from his mouth and froze them all together. He changed back into Vaporeon while Azui grabbed Melissa, who was holding on to her now broken arm. Not bad, you two. Water zone complete, Azui said as she and Midoriya made their way towards the shore. Meanwhile, in the collapsed building zone, Bakugo and Kirishima were fighting off their group of villains. After knocking out the last one, Kirishima turned toward Bakugo. All right then, now that that's taken care of, what next, Bakugo? Simple, we take out that Miss guy. But shouldn't we help our classmates? Why would I bother with that? Got you now, kid. A chameleon villain yelled as he lunged at Bakugo. But Bakugo's reflexes were too good, and he avoided the attack and took out the villain in one motion. Besides, if the villains they're fighting are as weak as this guy, then they have nothing to worry about. Bakugo stated, "Oh, I get it. You have confidence in our fellow classmates. Good on you, bro. That's not what I meant. And didn't you hear what that mist villain said earlier? You mean about killing All Might? Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do that with army of scrubs like these losers, but that bird guy from before is different. Yeah, he did look pretty intimidating. And that hand guy from earlier. We still don't know what his quirk is, but his aura sets him above these chunks. And the mist guy's quirk would definitely be a problem. Do you think they could do it? Could they actually kill All Might? They wouldn't launch this attack unless they were confident. So let's mess up their plan. First, we take the mist guy and cut off their only means of escape. But our attacks didn't affect him earlier. That's because we were aiming at the wrong spot, Bakugo said, confusing Kirishima. When the mist was blown away, I saw some sort of metal bracer in the mist. That must be his real body. Now that I know where to aim, all I need is a good hit to take him out. Okay, and how do we find the mist guy? We're still lost. You moron. Weren't you paying attention when we entered the USJ? We're in the area with the collapsed buildings, and judging from the view from the window, I'd say we're on the top floor of one of the skyscrapers. Let's get down to ground level, and we'll be able to find our way out. With that, Kirishima followed Bakugo out of the building. Back with the students at the entrance. Kirojiri was facing down the rest of the students when Ida spoke up. You fiend, what have you done with our friends? Well, I said I would do. I spread them throughout the facility to meet my comrades who are in the other areas. Tell me, young hero, how long do you think they'll last against my compatriots? Ida grimaced at this when 13 got his attention. Ida, I need you to make a break for the doors while I take care of this villain. What? You can't expect me to abandon you all. Ida, listen, they're trying to keep us in here. That makes me believe that this is the only area they have broken into. If you get out, then they can't follow you, or they'll trip the alarms. You're the fastest, so I need you to go out and get help. Surely you are not so foolish as to strategize in front of me. Kirojiri yelled as he generated more mist. It won't matter once I'm through with you. Black hole. One of the fingers on 13's glove opened up, and a large suction force began to drag Kirojiri in. Black hole, a powerful quirk indeed. But you specialize in rescue operations and lack battle awareness. Kurogiri explained as he opened up a portal in front of him and another behind 13. 13's back was then torn apart by her own quirk thanks to the portal. No! 13. Uraraka yelled in horror. Sorry kids, he got me. 13 said as she fell. Run, Ida. Shoji yelled. Ida ran for the exit, but Kurogiri was quickly upon him. That is when Shoji dove at Kurogiri and held him inside his dupli arms. I got him, run. Ida got to the doors, but they were hard to open without power. Kurogiri soon broke free and charged at Ida. Enough of this. Begone. Kurogiri yelled as he generated a large amount of mist to swallow Ida. But Uraraka had snuck up on Kurogiri and used her quirk on his bracer. I don't know how your quirk works, but I'm assuming this is your body, Uraraka stated. While Kurogiri was floating, Siro had wrapped his bracer in tape and handed the other end to Sato, who used his increased strength to throw him away. As Kurogiri flew further away, he saw Ida open the doors and escape. He has escaped. No doubt he will return with reinforcements. I must inform Tamura, Kurogiri said to himself as he teleported away. Back with Aizawa, he was taking care of the villains when Shigaraki attacked. Aizawa threw out an elbow, but Shigaraki caught it. You really shouldn't push yourself, Eraserhead. You might just fall apart, Shigaraki stated as he began to decay Aizawa's arm. Aizawa activated his quirk and kicked Shigaraki away to stop the decay. But Aizawa's arm was already rendered useless. It was hard to see because of your jumping around, but I found your tell. It's your hair, Shigaraki stated, causing Aizawa's eyes to widen in horror. You use those goggles to keep people from finding out whose quirk you erased. Impressive, but still, your quirk isn't suited for long drawn-out fights now, is it? Oh, and I'm not the final boss, by the way. Shigaraki pointed behind Aizawa. Aizawa turned to see the large Birdman before a large fist hit him. The Birdman then began to beat on Aizawa and break his bones. Aizawa tried to erase the Birdman's quirk, but the Birdman just continued to torture Aizawa. Midoriya, Melissa, and Azui just watched in horror from the shoreline. They were terrified by the power the Birdman possessed and angry at their own uselessness. Kurogiri then appeared next to Shigaraki. Kurogiri, did you take care of those kids yet? Shigaraki asked. My apologies, Tamura. One of them has escaped. What? Shigaraki began to furiously scratch at his neck. If you weren't our way out, I would destroy you. Every one of your atoms would be dust. Shigaraki then stopped. Then it's done. Game over. Back to the title screen. Did you hear that? Melissa asked. Yeah, but do you think they'll actually leave? Azui asked. I don't think so. Midoriya replied. They know that you will buff up security once they leave. If they really wanted to kill All Might, then this would be their best chance. While the three were discussing this, Shigaraki turned towards them. But first, let's make this hurt. Break the number one hero's heart. Shigaraki appeared in front of Azui and grabbed her face, but nothing happened. Man, you really are persistent, Shigaraki said. Aizawa had used his quirk to erase Shigaraki's, but the Birdman slammed his head into the ground, stopping the effect. Shigaraki was about to grab Azui again, but Melissa jumped out. Get away from her, Melissa yelled as she launched a full-power fist at Shigaraki. Melissa was shocked that her arm wasn't broken, but looked up to see that the Birdman had blocked the attack. That was a strong punch. Did All Might teach you that? Doesn't matter. Nomu, finish her, Shigaraki ordered. As Nomu reached out to Melissa and Shigaraki to Azui, they both stopped. What the? They were both held in place by some sort of power. That is when Midoriya began to glow lilac, revealing he had changed into his Espion form. Get away from them, he yelled as he forced both Shigaraki and Nomu back. Don't you dare hurt them, Midoriya yelled as he launched a powerful wave of psychic energy at Shigaraki. Nomu got in front of Shigaraki to block the attack. While he did block it, he was pushed back by the amount of power unleashed. Midoriya then fell to his knees exhausted. Now that's some power. Maybe we should bring him back with us. MSTR would like to get his hands on a quirk like that, Shigaraki said to himself. MSTR, Midoriya thought. Nomu, capture him and kill the others. as Nomu was about to charge in, when the doors to the USJ are blown open. Everyone stops to see what it is. It is all right now, children. You have no need to fear. And do you know why? Because I am here, All Might said as he entered the USJ. Most of the small-time villains were terrified of his presence when he vanished. Instantly, most of the villains were knocked out, and Shigaraki and Nomu were struck with an attack too quick for them to evade. All Might then appeared in front of Midoriya and the others with an injured Aizawa. I'm sorry, Aizawa. I should have been here, and you had to put yourself in harm's way to protect the students. Because of my negligence. Well, not to worry. Everything will be fine now. Students. All Might called out. Yes, sir. Melissa and Azui said in response. Take Aizawa and head to the entrance with the others. All Might then noticed Midoriya on the ground. What happened to young Midoriya? He protected us with his psychic powers. I think he may have pushed himself too hard. Azui answered. Even you had to cover for me, young Midoriya. This is truly shameful on my part. Please take him as well. I will handle this. But Uncle Might, that Nomu person took a full-powered hit from from my quirk. I don't know if Dash. Thank you for your concern, Melissa, but it's all right. I will take care of this. All Might then flashed his signature grin, reassuring Melissa and Azui. With that, they took Aizawa and Midoriya up the stairs while All Might faced off with the villains. Finally, you are here, All Might. All of this was for you after all. Shigaraki stated with glee. Well, you've got my attention. Now then. All Might rushed forward, throwing a punch. Aimed at Shigaraki, but Nomu once again blocked it by stepping in front of him. All Might was shocked to see that Nomu was unaffected. Wallaby, Melissa was right. You really can take the full force of my punch. All Might said as he evaded Nomu's counterattack. Oh yes, All Might. Nomu was made just for you. He has shock absorption, which means he can take anything you throw at him. Shigaraki explained. Thanks for the information. But there's more than one way to put you down. All Might ducked under one of Nomu's punches and grabbed him from behind. He then attempted to suplex Nomu into the ground. But a portal had opened up and Nomu came out of the second one under All Might and grabbed him. What the? Did you think it would be that easy? We've been preparing for this moment for a long time, All Might. Shigaraki said with glee. Back with Melissa, she and Azui were walking up the stairs when Uraraka notices them. Hey, are you guys okay? Uraraka asked as she came down to them. Aizawa is badly injured and Midoriya overused his quirk. Azui answered. Oh my gosh. Come on, let's get up the stairs. As Uraraka helped Azui with Aizawa, Melissa turned back to the battle and saw All Might in trouble. Uncle Might, here Uraraka, take Midoriya. Melissa then handed Midoriya over to Uraraka and ran back down the stairs. Melissa, where are you going? Uraraka asked, but she received no answer. Back at the battle, All Might was in trouble as Nomu had grabbed onto his old battle wound, and All Might was in intense pain. Good Nomu, don't let him go. Now, Kurogyri, pull them back so you can crush All Might in your portal. Shigaraki ordered. Normally, I don't like to get Viscera and BLD into my portals, but for someone as great as you, I'll make an exception. Kurogyri began to pull Nomu into the portal along with All Might. All Might knew that as soon as he was halfway it would be over for him, but what could he do? He was stuck. That is when a wave of ice came and froze Nomu, while Bakugo attacked Kurogyri. Kirishima attacked Shigaraki, but he evaded the attack. Oh man, that would have looked so cool. Kirishima lamented. With Nomu's hand frozen, All Might was able to break his grip and free himself. Did you really think you could kill the symbol of peace? How foolish. Todoroki coldly stated. DM in it. How could you let these kids get the better of you, Kurogyri? Shigaraki asked angrily. Kurogyri tried to make a portal, but Bakugo had a firm grip on his bracer. Don't even try it. I may not understand how your power works, but I'm guessing you can't make your whole body mist, and that's why you make so much of it to hide your real body. Now that I know the secret, you're not so tough. Bakugo said. Nomu came out of the portal and broke off the frozen part of his body. He then began to regenerate his missing body parts. Holy CRP. What the hell? Stay back, kids. Kirishima, Bakugo, and All Might said as they watched Nomu grow the left half of his body back. What's the deal with him? I thought you said his quirk was shock absorption. I didn't say that was his only quirk, did I? He also has high-speed regeneration. He's basically a highly efficient punching bag that punches back. I told you, he was made to kill you, All Might. Shigaraki gloated as Nomu stood back up. Uncle Might. Melissa, what are you doing here? Uncle. Well, that's interesting. Now first things first. Nomu, free our ride out of here. Shigaraki ordered. Nomu charged at Bakugo before anyone could blink and freed Kurogiri, while Bakugo was sent flying into a wall. Kakin. Melissa screamed. Bakugo, however, was standing right next to her. Oh, there you are. Melissa said. How'd you dodge that? Kirishima asked. Shut up, you moron. I didn't. Bakugo replied. Everyone turned to see that All Might had pushed Bakugo out of the way and taken the hit for him. All Might, the students shouted. How could you? Attacking innocent children like that. Innocent. That rude one was holding my friend hostage. I had to do something. And besides, these kids are no angels. Your niece over there tried to kill me with a full-powered punch. And her foxy boyfriend tried to kill me with his psychic powers. If Noma hadn't blocked the attack, I wouldn't be standing here now. It's a crime if we use violence, but righteous if you do it. You are nothing more than government-sanctioned thugs, and violence breeds violence after all. So why is right to say that we're in the wrong? Maybe you're the criminals. Shigaraki said. Criminals like you always try to make your actions sound noble. But admit it, you're only doing this because you enjoy it, right? He's got me figured out. Shigaraki thought. Enough of this. If we work together, we can take them. Todoroki said. No. Stand down, I got this. Really? If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have made it out earlier. And I thank you for your assistance, young Todoroki, but I will handle this. All Might said as he faced Nomu. Now, then, ready for round 2. We returned to the battle between All Might and Nomu. While the two were getting ready to clash, Bakugo noticed Melissa's broken arm. What happened to your arm shield? Bakugo asked. Oh, I went over my limits to stop the villains in the water area. Melissa answered. Then you should sit this out. Bakugo turned to Shigaraki and Kurogiri. Both still intended to kill the kids while All Might was dealing with Nomu. All Might wiped the BLD from his mouth. DM in, I don't have much time left. This Nomu person is almost as strong as me, not to mention his shock absorption and regeneration abilities. Taking him down won't be easy, but I still must do it, because I am the symbol of peace and justice. All Might thought as he prepared to charge at Nomu. Before anyone could move, All Might charged in with Nomu mirroring his actions. Their clash, so strong the resulting shockwave, pushed everyone back. Weren't you listening? Nomu has shock absorption. Shigaraki yelled as he flipped through the air. Yeah, what of it? All Might replied, while trading blows with Nomu. It's shock absorption, not nullification. So there's a limit to how much you can take. So you're made to take me on at full power, huh? Then I will have go past that and force you to submit. As All Might and Nomu were still exchanging punches, Shigaraki noticed that Nomu was being forced back. Nomu threw a haymaker that All Might had avoided. All Might then grabbed onto his arm. Remember, students, All Might said as he began to spin Nomu around. A hero always finds a way for justice to prevail. He threw Nomu into the air, and before Nomu could recover, All Might had jumped on top of him, slamming Nomu into the ground. As Nomu had bounced off of the ground, All Might appeared in front of him to deliver the final blow. You may have heard these words before, but let me show you what they really mean. All Might began to pull back his fist. Go beyond plus ultra. All Might unleashed a massive punch that sent Nomu flying through the ceiling and into the air. Everyone just stood in awe of this show of power. Whoa, did you see that? It was like the finishing move in a video game. Kirishima said, that power. It's the reason he's number one. Bakugo said, so this is the strength of the number one hero. Todoroki said to himself. Melissa just stood there in awe of All Might's strength. Back in my heyday, it would have taken 5 punches to take him down. But today it took 300 mighty blows. So, are you ready to surrender? We would all like for this to end now. All Might said, but come on, take the bait. Leave. I can't even move while in my buff form. All Might thought, having used up his remaining time for the day. While the students were admiring All Might, Shigaraki was having a tantrum over Nomu's loss. "No, that's not fair. How could he do that to my Nomu?" Shigaraki said while he was furiously scratching his neck. That is when Kurogiri moved up to him. "Do not fret, Tamura. While Nomu lost, his attacks did lasting damage to All Might, and the children are still frozen in fear. Not to mention, some of our allies are beginning to regain consciousness. We haven't lost yet." Shigaraki stopped after hearing this. "Yeah, you're right. DM in it. I was hoping they would flee after losing their biggest gun. I don't have the strength to defend myself anymore." As some of the villains began to regain consciousness, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Kirishima prepared for battle. "Looks like we're going to fight anyway." Kirishima said, "It appears so. Will you be joining us, Shield?" Todoroki asked, but Melissa did not respond. She was focused on All Might, whose body was beginning to let off steam. "Oh no, I know what that steam means. Uncle Might doesn't have much time left, and I'm the only one who knows." Shigaraki rushed forward with Kurogiri, but as they approached, Melissa had leapt towards them, preparing to launch a kick at Kurogiri's neck brace. "Get away from him," she yelled, but Kurogiri had opened a portal in front of her face and one next to Shigaraki. Shigaraki's hand came out ready to grab her. "I won't fall for that again," Kurogiri shouted. "Say goodbye to your niece, All Might," Shigaraki said with a sadistic grin. But suddenly Shigaraki's hand was covered in a lilac glow, and his fingers were bent backwards. Shigaraki let out a scream of pain while he pulled his hand back. Meanwhile, the same glow surrounded Kurogiri, and he and Shigaraki were thrown away from the others. "This power is Zeku," Melissa shouted as she crashed on the ground and looked back. Midoriya was there with Uraraka, helping him stand. "Why did you come back?" Bakugo asked. "I saw a terrible sight that I couldn't allow to happen," Midoriya said in between breaths. Flashback: Midoriya was walking up the stairs with Uraraka's help. He was still exhausted from his earlier assault on Nomu and was still in his Espion form. Suddenly, he had a vision of Shigaraki turning Melissa to dust. While confused by this vision, he looked back at the fight. All Might had just won, but the villains weren't leaving. It looked like the vision he saw was about to pass. "No, I have to stop this." Midoriya began to try and move back down the stairs, but Uraraka stopped him. "What are you doing, Zeku?" she asked. "Please, Uraraka, we have to go back. Something awful is going to happen to Melissa." "What do you mean?" "All Might just beat the bird guy. I'm sure he can dash, please." Uraraka was taken aback by Midoriya's sudden outburst. She didn't know why, but she felt she should trust Midoriya. "All right, Zeku, let's go." She and Midoriya began to go back to the battle. "Where are you going?" Azui asked. "We need to go back. Please take care of Aizawa." Uraraka answered as she and Midoriya continued to the battle. Azui wanted to ask more questions, but Aizawa was seriously injured and needed help fast. She decided to trust her friends. Back in the present, Midoriya was on the verge of collapse, using his quirk when he was already exhausted. While Uraraka and Melissa were concerned, Shigaraki was holding onto his hand in pain. He glared at Midoriya. "You DM mutt. I'm going to kill you." Slowly, painfully, "By the time I'm done, you'll be begging for me to end it." As Shigaraki got up, he was suddenly shot in the shoulder. "They're here," All Might said, looking towards the entrance. Back with the rest of the students, Ida had returned with the rest of the teachers. Snipe, the sharpshooting hero, took 2 more shots in a different direction. His target, a villain who was about to kill Kaminari. With Kaminari safe, Snipe took more shots at Shigaraki. But Kurogiri had put up a portal in front of Shigaraki, blocking Snipe's shots. "We need someone to pin them down," Snipe shouted. "I'll do it," 13 said, as some of the students helped her up. "We must retreat, Tamura," Kurogiri said as he began to pull Shigaraki into a portal. Suddenly, he was being pulled by a powerful force. This force, black hole. 13 was trying to SCK in Kurogiri so they couldn't escape. Unfortunately, the distance and her condition meant she couldn't use black hole at full force. As Shigaraki was falling through the portal, he gave one last glare at All Might. "I swear I'll kill you." One day, you and that DMN fox. I swear it, Shigaraki stated as he went through the portal. Meanwhile, Melissa was saddened with how little she had done. I'm sorry, Uncle Might. Even after all the training I did with Kakin and Zeku, I couldn't do anything. That's not true, Melissa, All Might said, slowly turning into his skinny form. You bought me a few precious seconds and saved my life. Thank you. Melissa was happy to hear that. In an unknown bar, Shigaraki and Kirojiri had warped into the empty bar. Shigaraki landing on the floor, bleeding and angry. DMN it. After everything we've done to prepare for this. He isn't getting weaker at all. You were wrong, MSTR. You were so wrong. Shigaraki yelled at a TV screen showing static. No, Tamura. We just weren't as prepared as we should have been. But we have gained valuable information and we'll be ready next time. The voice known as Mr. said. By the way, where is Nomu? Another voice asked. He was sent flying by All Might. Without specific coordinates, I couldn't get to him. Kirojiri answered. What? This is a travesty. Perhaps, but a small setback at best. For now, rest, Tamura. Heal and recover your strength for the next mission. I must return to the shadows. Remember, you are to become a symbol of your own. A powerful one to strike fear into hearts of heroes. The MSTR said. Power, that reminds me. That girl from before, All Might's niece, she had a similar power to All Might. And that fox brat, his power was so annoying. I won't turn him to dust. No, I got a better idea. I'm going to skin him alive, hang his pelt from my wall. A trophy and a message of what happens to those that PSS me off. Shigaraki said with sadistic glee. So Melissa's shield has a quirk similar to All Might's. Interesting. As for the fox child, you can't kill him yet, Tamura. He's very special and crucial to our plans. What? How MSTR? His quirk is very adaptable. It seems to give his body no drawbacks for the power he uses. Even some of his BLD and hair samples we acquired have already improved our other Nomus. Shigaraki was silently admiring his MSTR's progress on this matter. So for now, watch him, study him, and if given the chance, capture him. Yes, Mr. Back at UA, the police had arrived and took in all the defeated villains. They were taking statements from the students about the attack when Azui spoke up. Excuse me, sir, she said to the detective. Are Aizawa and 13 going to be okay? Well, the detective pulled out his notes. 13 had some large lacerations on her back, but none of them life-threatening, so she'll be fine. Aizawa, on the other hand, had facial and arm fractures and some permanent damage to his orbital floor. He will need treatment if he is to ever use his quirk again. Aizawa may not be able to use his quirk anymore. Azui asked in concern. Not to worry. The doctors treating him are the best in the field and should be able to save his eyes. As he was about to leave, Uraraka walked up to him. Excuse me, what about Zeku and Melissa? She asked worriedly. Oh, Miss Shield and the Fox Boy. They are both okay. Shield had a broken arm, and Midoriya overexerted himself. Recovery Girl should have them up and about in no time. Now, Lieutenant, please SCRT these students back to the main building. Sir. An officer who looked like a cat answered. Most of the female students were gushing about how cute he looked. In Recovery Girl's office, All Might and Melissa were lying in bed, both of their injuries bandaged up. Luckily, with the help of the other teachers, they were able to get All Might out before anyone saw his skinny form. Midoriya was also in the office, but he was in deep sleep, exhausted from the overuse of his quirk. Melissa was looking over to Midoriya, who was in his EV form now, thankful that he was okay. She then looked to All Might, who was heavily bandaged and in his skinny form. She was worried that his time for his buff form was even shorter now. With as far as I push myself, my time has definitely been shortened. All Might said aloud. Melissa looked saddened that All Might had the same thoughts. I'm sorry, Uncle Might. No need to apologize, Melissa. I chose this path. Everything that has happened to me is due to my choices. It is my fault alone that my time as a hero is coming to an end. All Might turned to face Melissa and gave her a smile and a thumbs up. So don't worry about it. Just know, we will be increasing your training from this point forward. So be ready for it, Melissa. Melissa smiled until Recovery Girl bonked All Might on the head with her walking stick. Enough talk about training. You're in recovery right now, so rest. All Might rubbed his head as Melissa giggled a bit. Very well. By the way, Melissa, when Midoriya came to save you, what did he say about a vision? Oh, he said he saw a vision of me being killed, so he came to stop it. I see. Is something wrong, Uncle Might? Young Midoriya's quirk seems to surprise me every day. The versatility of it rivals the power of One for All. And this precognition now, it reminds me of Nightai's quirk, but different. How so? Nightai can see the future, but he can't change it. No matter what he or anyone else does, the future he saw will always come to pass. It's like a movie. Whatever he or anyone does to change the result is just adding extra scenes, but the ending is always the same. But young Midoriya managed to change the future, something even Nightai couldn't do. Melissa noticed All Might smiling at this revelation. What are you planning, Uncle Might? I think Midoriya might be able to benefit from some special training from Nightai. With that, Melissa and All Might were left to their thoughts while they and Midoriya recovered. The next day, Midoriya was at home after recovering from his ordeal at the USJ. School was canceled for the day, so the police could conduct their investigation. Midoriya was in his room when his mother called for him. Midoriya went to the living room and saw an unusual guest in his home. Hello, there is Zeku Midoriya. I am Mirai Sasaki, also known as the hero Nightai. Oh, hello there, sir. Why are you here? Izuku asked nervously. He was confused and worried why All Might's former psychic was here. Did he do something wrong at the USJ? Did something happen to All Might or Melissa? Relax, Izuku. I'm here at All Might's request. He thinks you would benefit from some special training from me. Huh, special training. Yes, specifically for your new ability. Izuku was confused until he remembered. You mean when I had that vision? Yes. I'm honored, Sir Nightai, but I don't know how it happened. I haven't been able to use that power since the USJ. You just discovered it. You will need time to discover how to activate it and use it to its full potential. That is why All Might asked for my help, actually. Since my quirk is similar, he believes I will be able to help you with this new ability. Also, Nightai got up from his seat to face Izuku. I'm interested in this power myself. Why, sir? My quirk is very similar to yours. I can see the future events of anyone I want as long as I make physical contact with them. But I cannot change their future. No matter what, whatever they do, or rather, whatever happens to them will come pass. All I can do is prolong the inevitable. But you, Izuku Midoriya, you can change that future. You can prevent the innocent from meeting a terrible fate. With proper training, you can save so many lives. Izuku was shocked at hearing this. To hear such words coming from someone who worked with All Might was startling. Do you truly believe I can achieve such a feat, sir? I wouldn't be here otherwise, young Midoriya, even with All Might's request. Izuku smiled at this, happy that he was truly making strides towards his goal. Masaki turned and bowed to Inko Midoriya for her hospitality. As he was leaving, he turned back to Izuku. By the way, Izuku Midoriya, I watched the video of the USJ incident. The amount of power you command with your psychic form is impressive, but you're also limiting its full potential. Huh? What do you mean, Sir Nightai? The attacks you used were kinetic force-based, physical-based attacks powered by your psychic energy. But with the amount of power you have, you should be capable of telepathic attacks as well. Nomu was made to fight All Might, so he had quirks to defend against great physical trauma. If you had used a telepathic attack, one that targets the mind, you could have ended the fight before All Might arrived. Midoriya thought on this, and Masaki was right. He had never considered using those type of attacks before. He just used what came naturally to him. If he had telepathic attacks in his arsenal, then he could be much more effective on the battlefield, especially against villains with strength and durability quirks. Thank you for the advice, Sir Nightai. I'll work on it. If you are willing to put in the effort, then come by my office. Masaki handed his business card to Izuku. But I warn you, the training will not be easy. We will be working to bring out your full potential. It will be a few days before classes resume, and in those few days I will work you to the bone. You will realize your full potential through BLD, sweat, and tears. Midoriya was taken aback by Masaki's sudden intensity. While it would be hard, Izuku knew this would only help him on his path to his dream. I'm willing to do it, sir. I'll see you tomorrow. Good. I'll be expecting you. Oh, and work on your sense of humor. Huh. All Might isn't the #1 hero just because of his strength. He also possesses great charisma, the ability to bring a smile to the face of all when he arrives. You can be the strongest hero in the world, but without that charisma, you will never bring hope. Just look at Endeavor. He actually has more solved cases than All Might, but he lacks the ability to make people smile. The citizens do not feel a sense of safety or hope when Endeavor arrives. Instead, they see that he is there to do a job, nothing more. Right, I'll work on it, sir. Good. I expect you to put in 110%, Izuku. And remember, there can be no joy without laughter. With that, Masaki left, and Midoriya pondered heavily on his words. With newfound determination, he was ready to take his next step to being the #1 hero. Thank you for joining us on this journey through What If Deku Had Adapting Fox Quirk. We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to the Crimson Yinglet for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on fanfiction.net for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Zenin Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you soon in the next video.